Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Great Voyage. Lord Madara crushed celestial dragons to death with one hand. Chapter 41. It's a pity that Baihan doesn't know 8 inner gates. It seems that there will be no 8 inner gates in Madara's inheritance. Otherwise, let Nami learn 8 inner gates, it would not be too appropriate. As for the load that 8 inner gates puts on the body, even the moves in it can cause bone fractures. That could be a huge problem in the world of Hokage, maybe even affect the future. However, if these things are placed in pirate world, then it is not a problem at all. As long as it's not missing an arm or a broken leg, it's easy to solve. Eat meat when the meat is gone, and supplement calcium when the bones are broken. It won't be long before the body can be repaired. Even if you are missing an arm or a leg, you can still find the op fruit owner to pick it up. That is to say, there is no cultivation method of 8 inner gates, otherwise Baihan will give Nami a big one. But now, it can only be done with Uchiha fluid technique. Although the upper limit of Uchiha fluid art is not high. But that's just relative to super cage level battles. Even in cage level battles, Uchiha fluid art can also play a big role. But in the world of pirates, where the fighting styles are all wide open and closed, and they zoom in and out at every turn. The unique and tricky fighting style like Uchiha fluid art is often easy to have unexpected effects. Originating from the Sengoku period, the Uchiha clan has passed down the method of killing for thousands of years. Although the Uchiha fluid technique is not so heaven-defying, it is definitely not simple. If Nami is not allowed to continue running, even if the people in One Piece world have a special constitution, running like this will be very painful when she wakes up. Baihan stood up and came to Nami's side, grabbing Nami. For a moment, Nami's absent-minded eyes moved, showing a little more excitement, but still staring blankly at Baihan. It seemed to be wondering why Baihan stopped him. Okay, take a good rest, Baihan said softly. After hearing this, Nami immediately closed her eyes in peace of mind, and passed out directly. Her body has already reached its limit. If it weren't for the will to become stronger to support her, she would have been unable to withstand it long ago. Baihan didn't let Nami fall down, and he didn't dislike the dripping sweat on Nami's body. He directly hugged Nami and walked towards the cabin. Of course, Baihan didn't have that kind of charm either. If the information on a certain degree is correct, the current Nami is just a 16-year-old girl. No matter how he was born, he wouldn't do anything to a 16-year-old girl who was underage. What's more, Baihan glanced at Nami in his arms. This 16-year-old girl had suffered too much. She seemed to be 14 or 15 years old, curled up in a small ball in his arms. A small face is full of innocence and youthfulness. I don't know how much I have suffered all these years. It's hard to imagine that such a little girl could make up 100 million pele after 2 years. Just thinking about the hardships and difficulties involved makes Baihan's scalp tingle. After all, Nami in the original plot doesn't have much strength, and she dances on the tip of the knife purely with her own brain. Thinking of this, Baihan's eyes softened a bit. Not long after, Baihan came to the cabin with Nami in his arms, and finally stopped in a bathroom. There is a pool like a bathtub in this bathroom. This is something that Baihan specially asked someone to install after he got the 3-masted sailing ship. At this moment, this small pool is already filled with steaming green soup. These are the prescriptions given by a doctor in a village that Baihan once saved, and are said to strengthen the body and restore the body quickly. Physical fitness may be because the soaking time is too short. Baihan didn't feel it. However, he could feel the rapid recovery of his body. Even with his current constitution, soaking in this green soup is enough to increase the recovery speed by 30 to 40%. If it is replaced by Nami, this effect will probably be increased several times. Without taking off Nami's clothes, Baihan directly threw Nami into a pond. Whether men and women give or take each other, he is not so pervert. What's more, it doesn't matter whether you take off your clothes after soaking in the medicated bath. At best, you will feel a little uncomfortable after waking up. Anyway, it wasn't him who was suffering, so there was nothing to worry about. After taking a second look to make sure Nami was fine, Baihan left the bathroom and returned to the deck. Looking at the vast sea in front of him, Baihan took a deep breath, and murmured, "I can't let go of my strength. There is no need to worry too much about the ninja system. He only needs to keep fighting, and he can continue to become stronger through the fusion template. However, just relying on the fusion template, he couldn't confront the real monsters in this world in the early and mid-term. Therefore, I want to give myself the opportunity to step on the real stage of this world as soon as possible. He still has to practice the power system of One Piece World. Although the fighting style of One Piece World is open and close, it is a warrior route of close hand-to-hand combat. It has a completely different fighting style from the various skill-releasing mage routes of the ninja system. However, there are still many things that can be integrated with each other between the two. For example, Conqueror's Haki and swordsmanship. Bi-Han is very interested. There is no need to think about swordsmanship for the time being. He has just realized the meaning of cutting iron, and it is impossible for him to make a big breakthrough in the short term. If you can make yourself stably enter the state of listening to the breathing of all things, it is considered a success. On the Conqueror's Haki, however, some work could be done. In Conqueror's Haki, armament Haki doesn't need to be considered for the time being. Armament Haki needs a strong physique to inspire, and he can't do this with his current constitution. If the Indra bloodline is activated in the future, maybe it can be done easily. Conqueror's Haki doesn't need to be considered for the time being. How this thing was formed, no one knows. It seems that as long as there is a critical situation, as long as there is a person with this thing, he will appear by himself, and there is no rush. But observation Haki can start thinking about cultivation. If observation Haki is activated, it is like having an extra pair of white eyes, and you can see the surrounding 360-degree scene without blind spots. With Sharingan's dynamic vision, it is simply invincible. What's more, if observation Haki is developed to a high-level state, it may even have the ability to predict the future. This is enough for him to avoid the crisis to the greatest extent. The only thing that worries Bi-Han is whether he can master the Conqueror's Haki. It was precisely for this reason before that he didn't think too much about this aspect. However, this time he inexplicably felt the voice that all things listen to, which gave him hope. Maybe he can also master this magical power. Practicing observation Haki is easier said than done. But it's not that hard to say. The most important thing is to be beaten, and the beating is still blindfolded. Find the ability to see the attack in being beaten. Once you learn this ability, at least during the battle, it is basically impossible for the enemy to sneak attack. Only with a speed strong enough to overwhelm the enemy, or an attack with a large enough range, can damage the enemy who has mastered observation Haki. Powerhouses like Akainu, Sengoku, and Whitebeard are those who are good at large-scale attacks. And strong players like Kizaru and Garp are good at super speed. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Bi-Han slowly closed his eyes. The next moment, a large shuriken appeared in the palms of his hands. Since training is necessary, it is natural to do it in the most ruthless way. How can you quickly comprehend observation Haki if you don't feel enough sense of crisis? Don't you see that the masters of observation Haki, except for those with extraordinary talents and Wong Luffy, all mastered observation Haki in a crisis? Bi-Han does not have the same conditions as Wong Luffy, and he can have a strong player like Rayleigh to accompany him in training. Therefore, if he wants to master observation Haki quickly, he can only be hard on himself. Whoosh whoosh. With a throw of Bi-Han's hands, nearly 100 shurikens flew into the air. Then there was a quick collision in midair, from the original traceable state to a disordered state. Even Bi-Han couldn't tell where these shurikens would fall. The only certainty is that these shurikens will fall towards his position. Call. Exhaling a long breath, Bi-Han began to perceive the position of the shuriken with all his strength. In view of the long-term previous combat experience, Bi-Han could clearly feel many dangerous auras coming from midair. This also created an opportunity for him to dodge these shurikens. Suppressing the desire to escape from this area in his heart, Bi-Han quickly began to dodge when the shuriken rain was about to fall. At the same time, in his hands, there are 2 more kunai. When he felt powerless to dodge, he rode towards those places he felt might be dangerous. Aggressive, accompanied by bursts of iron into the wood sound came. The shurikens that were thrown out also fell towards the ground one after another. Each of these shurikens thrown out by special techniques has a good lethality, and can easily plunge half of the shuriken into the deck. If it is inserted into a flesh and blood body, the end can be imagined. And Bai Han also relied on his own perception of danger, and began to dodge flexibly in this shuriken rain created by himself. If he encountered a shuriken that he couldn't avoid, Bai Han would directly use the kunai in his hands to knock the opponent away, trying to ensure that he had room to dodge as much as possible. This strong sense of crisis even aroused the goosebumps all over Bai Han's body. However, even Bai Han has tried his best to dodge. But there were still blood splashes from his body from time to time, instantly turning him into a blood man. Have you been attacked 13 times, still need to continue practicing? Bai Han didn't care about the bleeding wound on his body, and murmured expressionlessly. At the beginning of traveling to this world, Bai Han has already deeply understood the importance of having sufficient strength in this world. Bai Han's journey through time was actually not smooth. When he crossed, he landed directly on a small island in East Blue that was being ravaged by pirates. Moreover, seeing the brutal behavior of those pirates there with his own eyes, even himself was driven to a dead end by those pirates. Fortunately, the system was activated at this time, giving him the power to resist these pirates. That was also Bai Han's first kill. Facing a group of vicious pirates who would not give them a chance to survive, Bai Han could only suppress the fear and nausea in his heart, and kept fighting with those pirates. Bai Han has had enough of the feeling of not having enough strength and dancing on the tip of a knife with every step. So, to avoid that from happening again, he had to make himself stronger before the next battle came. Without the slightest intention to rest, a shuriken appeared in Bai Han's hand again. Moreover, he did not intend to take back the shuriken on the ground. The sharp shurikens stuck on the deck are completely sharp spike traps. One carelessness may pierce the sole of the foot. It can be said that every step is full of crises. Moreover, with the increasing number of shurikens on the ground, it will become more and more difficult to dodge them. And this is what Bai Han prepared for himself, the observation hockey practice method. Time passed quickly, and soon it was night. Nami, who fell in the bathtub, also woke up faintly at this moment, rubbing his forehead. Wow! With the sound of running water, Nami woke up instantly. Hey, I'm in the bath. Nami sat up from the bath in a panic. However, when he saw his still intact but wet clothes, while Nami breathed a sigh of relief, he couldn't help blushing and complaining depressedly, "Am I so unattractive? You put me here directly." However, the green potion she made seems to be not simple. I thought that my body would collapse after running, and I would be very uncomfortable after waking up. But I didn't expect that after soaking in this green potion, her body was a little wet. Instead of feeling uncomfortable, there is a very transparent and comfortable feeling. What a miraculous potion! If this is sold for money, it will definitely sell for a lot of money. Nami couldn't help sighing and said. Her previous body was obviously overdrawn like that, but after taking a bath, she was able to act like a normal person. This is to sell the secret recipe of this potion to those who want to become stronger. I'm afraid it will definitely drive those people crazy. After all, this is equivalent to no longer having to think about exercising in the future, and one's own bearing issues. Of course, Nami just thought about this kind of thing. How could she sell such a good thing? If it is accidentally spread, the medicine needed in the prescription will definitely become a sky-high price. Crash! Nami came out of the bath with the sound of water splashing out. She was going to her room to get a change of clothes. The potion is full of the smell of medicinal materials. Nami, who has been soaked in the potion for a long time, does not smell very good. However, when she came to the door of the bathroom, Nami accidentally caught a glimpse of clean bath towels and a set of bathrobes that seemed to fit her perfectly. This suddenly shocked Nami's heart, and a feeling of grievance was born from the bottom of his heart instantly. You really care about people. With red eyes, Nami murmured coquettishly. How long has she been cared about by others? It seems that since she decided to save the town of Vice Admiral from the evil dragon alone, she has never had the experience of being cared about. However, she is actually just a 16-year-old girl. She also wants to be like other little girls, who can depend on her parents freely. You can have enough time and energy to do what you want to do and fulfill your dreams. However, even if it is just such a simple wish, it is so out of reach for her. Belle's blood feud. The fate of the village made her breathless. For the first half of her life, she seemed to be atoning for her waywardness at that time. Many times Nami wondered if Belle-Mel would not have died if Belle-Mel didn't admit that she was her daughter at the time. But unfortunately, all of this is just what she imagined. Many years have passed since that incident, and Belle-Mel will not come alive because of her obsession. Belle-Mel, I seem to have found someone I can trust. Nami picked up the bath towel in front of her and buried her head in it, her delicate shoulders trembling slightly. These are tears of joy and sorrow. At the same time, it was also Nami's tears of saying goodbye to her past life. Because from now on, she is no longer alone. She has someone who will care for her and whose character is trustworthy. After a quick rinse, Nami returned to her room in her bathrobe. Then, at her fastest speed, she changed into a white skirt and a yellow t-shirt that she thought looked the best. Immediately, he hurriedly searched for Bai-Han in the cabin. Don't know why, Nami just wants to meet Bai-Han now, and get a good look at him. Kitchen? No. Warehouse? No. Bedrooms? Nor. The restaurant? I didn't see Bai-Han either. Nami couldn't help feeling a little anxious. It's already this time, where did Bai-Han go? At this moment, an aggressive voice attracted Nami's attention, and Nami immediately listened carefully. Is this a sound from the deck? Nami exclaimed and hurried towards the deck. Boom! Nami pushed open the door from the cabin to the deck. In the evening sun, Nami found Bai-Han on the deck. However, the scene in front of him made Nami's eyes widen instantly. Bai-Han was closing his eyes tightly at this moment, standing on the deck that was almost full of shurikens. The next moment, with a flick of both hands, a large number of shurikens shot up into the sky and collided with each other in the air. Finally, like raindrops, they fell towards Bai-Han below. Bai-Han, on the other hand, held two kunai tightly with both hands, flexibly dodging a large number of shurikens falling from the sky. If encountering an attack that cannot be avoided, Bai-Han will immediately use the kunai in his hand to knock it into the air. Although this process seems like a miracle to Nami. Anyone can do this with a blindfold. But Bai-Han is not a god after all. Such a dense attack fell, and with his eyes closed, he needed to be extra cautious about the shuriken falling on the ground. Bai-Han's body was still inevitably wounded by the shuriken. However, to Bai-Han, who was already covered in blood, these wounds could barely see any difference. Only the blood splattered on the ground and the bloodline stained on the shuriken proved the damage Bai-Han had suffered. Nami was completely stunned there, she couldn't figure out what Bai-Han was doing. It wasn't until she saw another shuriken appearing in Bai-Han's hand that she screamed and stopped as if awakened from a dream. Bai-Han, stop. What are you doing? Hearing Nami's shout, Bai-Han paused when he originally threw the shuriken. Then Bai-Han opened his closed eyes, looked at Nami with a flat face and said slowly, have you recovered? Then continue training after eating. Before going to the Grand Line, you have to complete at least the first phase 1 training. In the process of training, he has already thought about the training of Nami in the future. Although Nami's talent lies in his sensitivity to the weather, he is a natural navigator, not a fighter. However, Bai-Han also does not expect Nami to fall too far when it comes to fighting. Otherwise, Nami may become a breakthrough on his side in the future. Just like in the original plot, the means used by Big Mom to threaten Sanji, or the means used by CP9 to threaten Robin. For those of the evil alignment, morality means nothing and only victory is what they want. Therefore, Nami must not be his shortcoming. Even if you can't become a top combat force, you must at least have a certain ability to protect yourself. If Nami really has no ninja talent, he will consider finding a suitable devil fruit for Nami to take. Of course, if it wasn't really impossible, he didn't want to give Nami something with huge side effects like devil fruit. The unbelievable side effect of this thing is that in a world where almost 90% of the area is ocean, people lose the ability to swim forever. Even powerful monsters like Big Mom and Kaido. Once it falls into the sea, it can only wait for the rescue of others. Otherwise, it will sink to the bottom of the sea for a lifetime, until it is drowned or starved to death. With such a small body like Nami, it is impossible to compete with Big Mom and Kaido. Once falling into the water, unless he is rescued in time, Nami is basically dead. However, before Bai-Han finished speaking, he was interrupted by Nami tremblingly. Why do you do such a self-abuse thing? Is this also to become stronger? But there are many ways to become stronger, right? And you are still young, there is a lot of time for you to grow up. Nami asked many questions in a row, which shows the anxiety and anger in her heart at the moment. Bai Han, who always subconsciously shows his gentle side, even if it's only been less than a day, still occupies a high position in Nami's heart. It is precisely because of this that Nami is so angry. She couldn't figure out why Bai Han took such a risk. That is a sharp weapon that can be used to kill the enemy, and if one is not careful, there will be a fatal threat. Even if it wasn't fatal, just Bai Han's body injury at the moment is already very horrifying. Is it really necessary to improve strength so urgently? Obviously they still have a lot of time, don't they? Bai Han looked at Nami and was silent for a moment, then slowly said, "Usually, you don't shed much blood and sweat during training. When you really fight, do you expect your enemy to release water?" Bai Han's words directly made Nami froze. Because, these words directly reminded her of the reason why Bai Han worked so hard. In order to deal with the evil dragon pirates in Kokosha village, Bai Han will be targeted by Jinbei, the 7 warlords of the sea. Is it because of this reason that Bai Han trained himself so hard to improve his strength? Thinking of this, Nami couldn't help but feel a little more guilt in his eyes. It was because of his own reasons that Bai Han was in such great danger. Obviously, in terms of Bai Han's potential, even if he improves his strength step by step, Bai Han's future is also extremely bright. Or, let's not deal with the evil dragon gang first. We can wait for them to become stronger before attacking them. Anyway, the villages ruled by the evil dragons have passed for so many years, and it doesn't matter if they have a few more years. Nami looked at Bai Han almost pleadingly and said. She really didn't want to see Bai Han disappear into the sea so early because of her incident. Don't think too much, it's a decision I've already made to deal with the dragon pirates. Even without you, I would still choose to do it. Bai Han shook his hand, put away the shuriken in his hand, then looked at Nami and said in a deep voice. After finishing speaking, Bai Han paused, and then said, "If you want to help, then complete the first stage of training in the shortest possible time and improve your strength." After the first stage of training is completed, Nami can at least have the strength of Genin and even Chunin level. Although in the battle, this strength is still useless. However, at least Nami will be able to fight against those pirates with a bounty of over 1 million berry. No matter how bad you want to escape, there is no problem. Coupled with Chakra's ability to climb trees and tread water, Nami's survivability will be greatly improved. Nami was silent for a moment, seeing that he couldn't change Bai Han's thoughts, nodded heavily, and said firmly, "I know, I will complete this first stage of training in the shortest possible time." The corners of Bai Han's mouth rose slightly, with a happy smile. "Very well, then let's go eat first, I just need to eat too. It's almost dinner time now, and it's time to eat." After cooking the meal before, Bai Han originally planned that if Nami didn't wake up, he would have dinner first. But now that Nami is awake, let's eat together. Although he is not good at interacting with others, now that Nami is his own, Bai Han will still learn to get along with Nami. Don't you need to treat the wound?" Nami pointed to the shocking bloodline on Bai Han's body, and said with some difficulty. With such a horrible amount of bleeding, she felt pain just looking at it, and she didn't know how Bai Han acted like a normal person. Could it be said that this is the characteristic of the strong? Bai Han glanced at the bloody bloodline on his body, and suddenly realized. The current appearance of myself is indeed not suitable for eating, and it is normal for other people's little girls to not adapt to the appearance of being dripping with blood. You go to the restaurant first, and I'll go there after I deal with it. After finishing speaking, Bai Han walked directly towards the cabin. Nami keenly discovered that even if Bai Han didn't bow his head, he could still easily avoid the dense shurikens under his feet. Hiss, doesn't Bai Han need to lower his head to see things under his feet? Single quote. Nami gasped inwardly. This simply broke Bai Han's 3 views, and it was something she had never heard of. It's hard to imagine what kind of terrifying power Bai Han possesses. And what terrifying strength the 7 warlords of the sea, which is stronger than the current Bai Han, possesses. However, she believed that it would be a matter of time before Bai Han, who worked so hard, surpassed the so-called 7 warlords of the sea. After a while, Bai Han, who cleaned up all the bloodline on his body and bandaged it, came to the restaurant wearing a loose bathrobe. The hot water vapor added a bit of astringency to Bai Han's handsome face. Originally like a hedgehog, full of aggressive long hair, now because the hair has become wet, it has become much more docile. This weakened Bai Han's aggression a lot, and he looked a little more cute. In the restaurant, Nami, who had already set up dishes and waited for Bai Han to eat, was completely amazed by the well-behaved black-haired boy in front of him. Even Shendu's eyes subconsciously showed a bit of bewildered expression. Why didn't she know that there was such a beautiful boy on board? Handsome, who are you? Nami subconsciously asked the doubts in his mind. And what responded to her was naturally Bai Han's inexplicable eyes. Dinner, and special training tonight. Bai Han sat at the table where he usually sat, and then said flatly. Tonight's dinner is a dish of braised sea fish, several large pieces of grilled meat and fragrant white rice. Bai Han is not sure what fish is, but he asked the fisherman to confirm that it was edible and tasted good sea fish. The barbecue was taken from the beasts he had hunted before. The meat of these beasts is very firm, with a sweetness in the oily aroma, which Bai Han considers to be the best barbecue material. Usually even he is reluctant to eat more. This time it was also because to celebrate Nami's boarding, Bai Han specially took out a lot. And the familiar voice from the mouth of the beautiful boy in front of him also made Nami instantly understand the identity of the person in front of him. However, when she knew the truth, her eyes widened instantly. The famous East Blue singled out and wiped out the East Blue Shira of the 5,000-man large ship of the Creek Pirates. She is actually a well-behaved and deserted beauty who doesn't look more than 17 or 18 years old. This strong sense of contrast even made Nami's mind buzzing. It wasn't until Bai Han stretched out his hand and waved it in front of her that Nami blushed and replied awkwardly, "Sorry, I was distracted just now. I'll start practicing after dinner." "Well, let's eat." Not paying attention to Nami's strangeness, Bai Han began to enjoy the delicious food in front of him. This is a dish that he is usually reluctant to eat more, and he must eat more today. Moreover, these wounds on his body also need a lot of nutrition to heal. Yes, Nami immediately picked up the bowl and chopsticks and started to chop the rice. Now Nami is really hungry. Although the medicinal bath has restored Nami's energy, it can't replenish the energy Nami lost. However, in the process of eating, Nami's eyes always look past Bai Han's face that can vaguely see a bit of happiness. For the first time, Nami knows what is delicious. Bai Han was very satisfied with his meal. However, Nami eats a little bit of taste. Although Bai Han's food is really delicious, compared with Bai Han's face, it is far worse. She can finally understand why Bai Han likes to wear clothes with such a high collar. This is if you don't wear such a high-necked dress. Once Bai Han's appearance is exposed, then Bai Han just wants to travel in the future, and I'm afraid it will not be so easy. Those fanatical fans in this world are very scary. By the time Nami finished washing the dishes, Bai Han had already put on the Uchiha combat uniform that had been automatically repaired. The high collar conceals Bai Han's prosperous beauty second only to readers, only revealing a pair of dark, deep eyes. This made Nami feel a little regretful, but at the same time felt a little grateful. Fortunately, she seems to be the only one who knows about Bai Han's beautiful face. If this face is exposed, she is not sure if she will have a chance to board the boat. Next, we will start training at night. I will teach you 3 ninjutsu tonight. What Bai Han wants to teach Nami is naturally the ninjutsu 3-body technique, which is necessary for graduation from Konoha Shinobi Academy. 3-body technique may just be the lowest D-level ninjutsu. However, once used well, the effect of 3-body technique is no less than that of B-level or even A-level ninjutsu. Even in battles at elite Jonin level or even quasi-cage level, it can play a huge role. And if it is placed in this world, it means that even when facing enemies at the naval headquarters vice admiral level, the 3-body technique can also play a role. Just like when Bai Han faced the Creek Pirates before, the 3-body technique played a huge role. Hearing this, Nami's heart was shocked, and then he started to study hard. Soon, Bai Han taught Nami the key points of the 3-body technique, along with the technique of Not Mudra. Tonight's practice mainly lies in the seal and the 3-body technique. Having some Nami of chakra already is enough for this process. As for Bai Han himself, after teaching Nami, he practiced observation hockey again. And the bandages that were on him before have all been removed at this moment. The wound was as clean as new, as if it hadn't been hurt. This is why Bai Han dared to practice so crazily. I don't know if it's because of his own Indra blood, but his recovery speed is astonishing. Coupled with the rich nutrition he ingested from food, his recovery speed became even more heaven-defying. Although there is no way like Senju Hashirama, even a fatal wound in the heart can recover quickly. However, if you want to recover from ordinary flesh and blood injuries, it will take you a meal at most. In this way, more than half a month passed during the physical training during the day, the practice of Knot Mudra and the three-body technique at night. At about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Zumaida Island appeared in front of Nami and Bai Han. Finally coming back, on the bow, looking at the gradually enlarged familiar island in the distance, Nami's heart is full of complexities. In all fairness, since she wanted to resolve the crisis of Zumaida Island as soon as possible, and rescue Zumaida Island from the hands of the evil dragon gang. He was also worried that Bai Han would be targeted by Jinbei, the 7 warlords of the sea, after he had dealt with the evil dragon gang. Recently, under the narration of Bai Han, she also has a certain understanding of the powerhouses of all levels in this world. That's how she figured out the golden 7 warlords of the sea. Even Moria, who is the weakest among them, is definitely not something that ordinary naval headquarters vice admiral can compete with. At least it has to be the old naval headquarters vice admiral to be able to compete with it. And Jinbei's strength is enough to rank among the top 3 existences in 7 warlords of the sea, and his strength is probably no less than that of alternate admiral, who is even stronger than an existence like a monster. As long as there is an existence that can be connected with admiral, there is no simple one. She still remembered Bai Han's description of admiral. A moving natural disaster can easily destroy the existence of an island. In a simple sentence, the destructive power possessed by admiral-level powerhouses is vividly displayed. Nami can't imagine how to destroy an island with his own ability. However, this does not prevent her from being shocked and proud of Bai Han. Even in the face of that terrifying monster, Bai Han still didn't have the slightest fear or retreat, but chose to go straight head-on. This courage alone is enough to amaze and admire. Get ready, you have to participate in this battle. Bai Han stood beside Nami and said in a flat tone. Yes. Nami touched the ninja bag tied on his thigh, and his eyes suddenly showed determination. After half a month of training, her strength is no longer what she was before. In the past half a month, she has not only mastered the 3-body technique initially. At the same time, according to Bai Han, the amount of chakra in the body has reached the level of Chunin. Coupled with the shuriken learned during these days and how to use kunai, she felt that she already had the ability to fight against the murlocs whose power was 10 times stronger than that of humans. What's more, with Bai Han watching beside her, she has no need to be afraid. After all, that was the famous East Blue Shura of East Blue. What is a mere dragon pirate group? The 3-masted sailing ship with the Uchiha flag flying high quickly sailed to the vicinity of Zumaida Island. The huge dragon paradise, which looks like a manor, also appeared in front of the 2 of them. It's really arrogant. In a place like East Blue, you dare to openly establish a stronghold. Looking at the dragon paradise in front of him, Bai Han sighed in a low voice. Although the evil dragon keeps saying that Jinbei is a traitor to the murlocs, he doesn't want to rely on Jinbei's fame. But in fact, the dragon is still enjoying the benefits of being Jinbei of the 7 warlords of the sea, and enjoying very huge benefits. You know, East Blue is the hometown of the marine hero. Take the character of the marine hero who skipped work every 3 days to come to East Blue. If the dragon pirates had no background and were so arrogant, they would have been imprisoned and impelled down 10,000 times. How did you really think East Blue's weakest sea got its name? That was punched by Garp forcefully. Those East Blue pirates who still have some potential have been sent in to impel down by Garp's iron fist of justice before they can make a big name. That is to say, the price of moving the evil dragon gang is too high, and it may even cause the relationship between humans and murlocs to deteriorate again. Otherwise, even if Garp doesn't make a move, with the strength of the dragon pirates, they can't escape Marine's encirclement at all. At the same time, the three-masted sailing ship heading towards the Dragon Paradise also attracted the attention of the Murlocs who were having fun in the Dragon Paradise. A Murloc pirate straightened up from the beach chair and looked towards the sea. Huh, why does it seem like a ship is coming towards us? Let's see who is so bold. The Murloc squinted his eyes slightly, and looked at the flag on the top of the ship. But the next moment he stared wide-eyed, and at the same time shouted in panic, "It's not good, the dragon boss. East Blue Asura is calling." Thanks to Morgans, the whole world now knows the name of Bai Han's East Blue Shira. It doesn't matter whether these people really put Bai Han in their eyes or not. However, Bai Han's name has come into the eyes of the world. And the dragon pirates will naturally not feel unfamiliar with Bai Han's name. Even, because they are both in East Blue and Bai Han is extremely cruel to pirates, the dragon pirates paid special attention to Bai Han's movements. This includes that they learned that Bai Han hunted and killed a whole 5,000 members of the Creek Pirates alone half a month ago. Although they don't know exactly how Bai Han did it. However, this terrifying strength is enough to attract the great attention of their dragon pirates. After all, that was a super large fleet of 5,000 people, not 50 or 500 people. If Bai Han is a Murloc, then they can still attribute these to Bai Han's attack from underwater, so that they directly destroyed the Creek Pirates. However, Bai Han happened to be a human being, plus a person with suspected Mara fruit ability. It is impossible for Bai Han to destroy ships in the sea like the Murlocs. And want to break through to destroy the ships at close range in front of a large fleet of 5,000 pirates and 50 pirate ships, and bury all the pirates of the Creek Pirates in the sea. This kind of strength is definitely enough to be called terrifying. Even before, many ordinary Murloc pirates began to worry about their fate, and even proposed to the evil dragon to leave the evil dragon paradise temporarily. After waiting for that East Blue Shira to leave East Blue, he chooses to return to the dragon paradise. But unfortunately, these resolutions were ultimately overruled by the evil dragon. Even if East Blue Shira really came, his evil dragon has the ability to hang East Blue Shira's head on the gate, causing a sensation in the whole world in one fell swoop. Due to the prestige of the evil dragon, they were helpless. And at this moment, that East Blue Shira actually came. They hope that their dragon boss can keep his promise and hang the head of East Blue Shira on the gate. East Blue Shira. In the swimming pool of the dragon paradise, the evil dragon who was lying in a swimming ring enjoying the sun immediately sat up. Due to the sudden imbalance of the center of gravity, the dragon fell directly into the sea water. However, the evil dragon didn't care at all. After floating up half of his body from the seawater bathing pool, he looked out of the evil dragon paradise with a serious face. At the end of the sea, a three-masted sailboat with a strange pattern of round fans was slowly heading towards the seaway of the dragon paradise. Assemble. Prepare to meet the enemy. The dragon roared loudly, and the sound spread throughout the dragon paradise. At the same time, the Murloc pirates who were playing in every corner of the dragon paradise immediately put down what they were doing and rushed towards the direction of the dragon. In just a moment, the three major cadres of the dragon pirates and the remaining dozens of Murloc pirates were all assembled. Such a force, even in the first half of the Grand Line, is not considered weak. After all, Murlocs were born much stronger than ordinary humans, 10 times more powerful than ordinary humans. It only needs a little exercise, and it is a very powerful existence. If the dragon pirates were mobilized as a group, it might be a little exaggerated to win a bounty of over 100 million in the first half of the Grand Line. However, it is not a problem for the evil dragon to get a bounty of 60 to 70 million. And as far as the personal strength of the evil dragon is concerned, facing the naval headquarters Rear Admiral may not be invincible. You're so arrogant, you won't treat us as those lowly humans, right? Chirp tweet. The kissing Murloc Chirp, one of the cadres of the dragon pirates, sneered and said. After all, Chirp lay down beside the pool and sucked a big mouthful of water into his stomach. Chia's special ability is to suck the water in his stomach and spit it out in the form of high pressure. The power caused by it is absolutely no less than that of bullets. If you condense your strength to release the water iron cannon, it will be even more powerful than a cannonball. Moreover, because what he was absorbing was seawater at this moment, Ju's attack would even have a damage bonus effect on the dragon fruit ability user. Even if the enemy is suspected of having Logia demon fruit power, Ju doesn't think he will lose. No matter what kind of enemy, I will use my Murloc karate to break every bone in his body. The black belt Crow Obi, one of the dragon pirates wearing a dark blue martial arts uniform, put on a posture and said coldly. Kruby, who has mastered the 40 steps of Murloc karate, can be called strong even if he is placed among the Murlocs in Murloc Street. The strength of Kruby is definitely second only to the existence of the evil dragon. If the strength of the evil dragon is comparable to that of the Naval Headquarters Rear Admiral, then, the strength of Kruby is comparable to Naval Headquarters Commodore. Even if this kind of strength is placed in East Blue, it is definitely a very powerful existence. At least it is difficult for a kin of the Creek Pirates to compete with Kruby. Although Xiaoba, the last cadre of the Dragon Pirates, didn't say anything. But he silently pulled out his 6 knives and stood behind the dragon, the meaning of which was very obvious. Although Xiaoba's strength is not as good as Ju and Kruby's, but it is definitely comparable to the Iron Wall of the Creek Pirates. If the Dragon Pirates and Creek Pirates face off, the outcome is really hard to say. Even if this is in the case of 5,000 pirates vs less than 100 Dragon Pirates. The backbone and subordinates behind him gave the evil dragon great courage. The worries and fears in the dragon's eyes had completely disappeared, replaced by a slow rampant. Scary ha ha ha, let the legend of East Blue Shira end in the hands of Lousy today. Let Momu do it. Destroy his ship for me first. The evil dragon grinned grimly and gave an order. Yes, Boss Dragon. A Murloc pirate responded, and then quickly ran to the surface of the sea and blew the conch horn. Suddenly, an invisible sound wave quickly spread towards the deep sea. Wow! In the dark and boundless deep sea, a pair of scarlet eyes suddenly lit up. The next moment, the surrounding water splashed violently, and a huge monster swam out of the deep sea. The water waves brought up even directly rolled out the surrounding fish and shrimps out of the concussion. Looking at the subordinates who had already started to call their big killer, Moo, the corner of the evil dragon's mouth curled into a ferocious smile. East Blue Shira, it's just a human being. We Murlocs rule the sea. Wait for your death. Scary ha ha ha. The evil dragon seemed to have foreseen the next scene, and immediately burst out laughing. And at this moment, on Bai Han's bark, Nami said to Bai Han beside him with a look of apprehension, the dragon pirates have a very powerful sea monster as a pet. This monster has the ability to easily destroy a village. I only saw it from a distance. A monster, that is definitely a very terrifying existence. Recalling the gigantic monster he once saw from a distance, Nami still has lingering fears. Even though she knew that Bai Han was very powerful, she was still not confident. After all, Bai Han's previous opponents were just ordinary humans. But now, what Bai Han will face is a gigantic deep-sea behemoth. Bai Han glanced at Nami, but he didn't laugh at Nami's lack of knowledge. Sea Kings itself is a horror monster that is off the scale in the world of pirates. Even a sea beast like Momu, who looks a little cute, is 36 meters tall. Moreover, this is only the part of Momo standing upright on the water. The shape of Mumu is similar to that of a seal. If the overall length is counted, the length of Mumu can easily exceed 50 meters. What is this concept? This is basically the same as when humans see Ultraman. Who would have imagined that a human could beat Ultraman in a one-on-one fight? Don't worry. After arriving at the Grand Line, you will often see sea monsters like this. No, it should be said that it is a sea monster that is even bigger than this, and it will be seen frequently. Worried that Nami would have too much psychological burden, Bai Han comforted Nami. Nami, is the Grand Line so dangerous? Even sea monsters bigger than Mumu abound. What if she suddenly regrets going to the Grand Line? Of course, this thought is only fleeting. Since Bai Han was able to say such words so calmly, it proved that Bai Han had the confidence and certainty to take down this sea monster. That being the case, she naturally has nothing to worry about. What's more, after witnessing the battle between Bai Han and the Creek Pirates, her ambition to become stronger has already been planted in her heart. No matter how many dangers lie ahead, Nami's determination cannot be changed. After all, could the danger be greater than the threat of 7 warlords of the sea? Just as Nami wanted to say something to prove his determination, he saw a large number of blisters appearing in front of their boat, and the entire water surface seemed to be boiling. Nami was taken aback by this sudden change. She didn't feel any strange changes in the surrounding climate, nor had she heard of such a strange change in East Blue. So in other words, the change at this moment definitely does not come from the climate. Nami hurried to the side of the ship and looked down. I saw that under the boat they were on, the sea surface seemed to be boiled with a lot of bubbles. At the same time, a huge shadow is rapidly growing under the ship. Obviously, something huge was approaching from the bottom of the sea, and the target was the ship they were on. It's a monster. A monster is approaching our ship from the bottom of the sea. What should we do? Nami yelled in panic. In terms of the magnification speed of the shadow on the bottom of the sea, it is impossible for their ships to make any effective response. It is also very difficult to attack the monster from the bottom of the sea. The huge resistance on the bottom of the sea is enough to completely wipe out the power of the cannon. Nami just wanted to go back to see Baihan and see if Baihan had any way to deal with it. She saw a black shadow suddenly skip over her head. The next moment, Baihan's figure appeared in midair, and he threw several kunai toward the sea. To deal with that kind of huge monster, kunai can only scratch it. After seeing this scene, Nami suddenly had such an idea in his heart. For this level of attack, for the sea beast Momu of the dragon pirates, it is probably like an ordinary person being bitten by a mosquito. But the next moment, Nami saw that Baihan's hands began to form seals at a speed that was almost invisible to the naked eye. Ninjutsu. Baihan seems to be only good at fire-style ninjutsu. But isn't fire-style ninjutsu weakened by seawater? Suddenly, a series of thoughts popped up in Nami's mind. She remembered that Baihan said this when he taught her about ninjutsu. Although there are some powerful fire-style ninjutsu that can even evaporate the water of a lake or river. But now it's the sea. With almost endless sea water. Not to mention the water of one lake, even the water of 10 or 100 lakes is just a drop in the bucket compared to the sea. Is it really possible to attack sea monsters under the sea with fire-style ninjutsu? At this moment, Baihan's ninjutsu is also ready. Accompanied by Baihan's swollen chest, he spit out suddenly, and the 4 fire dragons with scorching heat immediately burned straight towards the sea water. It was only at this moment that Nami discovered the steel wire bitten by Baihan. After Baihan taught her different ninjutsu characteristics, she didn't understand that this is fire-style fire dragon technique. One move locks the enemy with a steel wire and performs precision-guided ninjutsu. Can ninjutsu still be used like this? Nami's eyes sparkled, and he exclaimed. If it was an ordinary fire-style ninjutsu, then it would probably spread in all directions in an instant when it hit the sea surface. However, fire-style dragon fire technique is different. She heard Baihan say that this ninjutsu, fire-style dragon fire technique is only a sea-level ninjutsu. But this does not mean that fire-style dragon fire technique is less powerful. The impact caused by the dragon fire technique is no less than that of a cannonball. Coupled with the high-temperature flames that wrap around the enemy and continue to burn. I'm afraid that even a powerful race like the Murlocs, whose constitution is far superior to that of humans, can't bear it. However, using such an attack to deal with the huge sea beast, can it really be effective? Nami's heart was sweating for Baihan. And the next moment, she knew the answer to this question. As several flame faucets plunged straight into the water, a thin layer of mist floated on the surface of the sea in an instant. These are high-temperature water vapors burned by the scorching flames of the fire-style dragon fire technique. If ordinary people were in it, they would probably be scalded by the high-temperature steam in an instant. Such a shocking picture. However, Nami was keenly aware that the flames of these flame faucets shrunk significantly after entering the sea surface. This means that although the flame entered the seawater smoothly, it was inevitably weakened by the seawater. This made Nami feel a little more nervous. Can Baihan's weakened attack really have an effect on that sea monster? At this moment, the bubbles on the water surface suddenly became denser. It's as if the entire sea surface is like boiling water at this moment. Nami knew that this was definitely not the effect of Baihan's previous flames. If the flame wants to boil such a huge area of the sea, it is simply a dream. Therefore, what produces this effect at this moment is definitely that sea beast under the sea is about to rush out. Coming soon, Nami exclaimed, using chakra, which was not very skilled, firmly fixed the soles of his feet on the deck. In this way, even if the ship has suffered a huge impact from the sea beast, she wouldn't be thrown away somewhere. Boom! At this moment, the sea suddenly exploded. A huge figure wrapped in raging flames rushed out of the sea with a scream. At the same time, he bit hard at Bai-Han, who was in midair. Obviously, the flames did not have any substantial effect on this huge monster, but instead aroused the opponent's ferocity, making Bai-Han the first target of attack. The huge waves directly lifted the three-masted sailing ship on the side. Fortunately, since Nami has already learned how to use chakra, she is firmly attached to the deck. However, Nami couldn't help exclaiming, "Be careful." Since he doesn't know any ninjutsu, Nami can only take out a shuriken from the ninja bag and throw it at the huge monster. Although she didn't know if such an attack would work. However, it would be good to buy even a second of reaction time for Bai-Han. But Nami's idea is very good. But Momu, who is now in a rage, doesn't care so much. It is very clear that the flame burning itself at this moment is caused by the human being in midair. The severe pain from the body made it just want to tear that human into pieces. However, at this moment, that tiny human suddenly looked towards it. The next moment, Momu felt that a pair of scarlet eyes that seemed to be glowing red suddenly became very huge in front of his eyes. Moreover, there are 3 tomo that are constantly rotating around the small dot in the center, so Mu can't help but focus on it. Then Mumu doesn't know anything. At the same time, the patterns in Mumu's eyes were quickly replaced by Bai-Han 3 tomo Sharingan. Sharingan is the leader of the illusion department in the Hokage world. A low IQ sea beast like Mumu is no different from a pet in front of Bai-Han. Even Bai-Han didn't feel how much his chakra loss was. If it is those ninja beasts in the Hokage world, I'm afraid just a 17-meter tall Mrs. Wen is enough to make the current Bai-Han drink a pot. Mumu's body that was biting towards Bai-Han suddenly froze on the sea. And Bai-Han also lightly landed on the top of Momu's head, and at the same time scattered chakra, who was maintaining the flame dragon on Momu's body. Bai-Han's ninjutsu attack was not actually aimed at killing Mumu, but just to force Mumu out of the sea. Of course, if chakra is not counted, Bai-Han can also kill Momo across the sea. You only need to use a large amount of chakra directly when Momu is 10 meters away from the sea surface to extinguish the fire with a burst of fire. Even Mumu is a powerful sea beast. It will also be roasted into dried sea monsters along with the evaporated sea water. It's just that there is absolutely no need to do that kind of thing. Momu is a pretty good power engine. Moreover, compared to those strange-looking sea kings, Mumu's appearance is quite high. On the other hand, Nami was completely stunned by the scene in front of him. She had never expected that Bai-Han would use some completely incomprehensible moves to directly control this huge sea beast. Looking at the sea beast, even though it was covered with burn marks, it still remained motionless and obedient. Nami only felt a tingling scalp. Is this ability, which can even be controlled by biological instinct, really a human being? Throw the cable over here. At this time, Bai-Han's voice suddenly appeared, interrupting Nami's shock. Only then did Nami realize that Bai-Han had stepped on the huge sea beast and came to the side of the boat without knowing when. Oh! She hurriedly picked up the cable from the side deck and threw it towards Bai-Han standing on top of Mu's head. Originally, with her strength, she definitely couldn't do this kind of thing. However, after obtaining chakra, her strength has been greatly improved because of chakra's increase. Therefore, Nami easily threw the cable weighing tens of kilograms into the hands of Bai-Han, who was at least 10 meters away from her. Nami had done an experiment before, and she could only lift 100 or 200 caddies at most. After using chakra, I can lift at least 1,000 caddies, and my strength has increased tenfold. Therefore, Nami has always been grateful to Bai-Han, who granted him the mysterious and powerful power of chakra. Although he still can't do such a thing as dedicating his life to Bai-Han. But apart from dedicating his life to Bai-Han, Nami thinks he can dedicate everything to Bai-Han. Bai-Han quickly tied the cable around Momu's neck, and controlled Momu to continue swimming towards the dragon paradise. Thanks to the help of Mumu, the speed of the ship has directly increased to a higher level. It would have taken an hour to get there. At the moment, it only takes 10 minutes at most to arrive. In the next battle, I will be responsible for eliminating the evil dragon, Chirp, Kruby, and other Murloc pirates. I will leave it to you, Hachi. With the power you have, although the chance is very slim, there is still a chance to solve Xiao Ba. Bai Han stood at the bow of the boat with his arms folded, and said in a deep voice to Nami beside him. Although the evil dragon is the main criminal who killed Nami's adoptive mother Belle Mel. But they found Nami and Nuo Chigao's bowls and chopsticks on the table, and also pointed out Xiaoba. In fact, it also has an indelible responsibility. Letting Xiao Hachi to Nami to solve is also to give Nami a chance to revenge with his own ability. Although Xiaoba has created a so-called six-sword style. But at best, it can only be regarded as having 6 arms that can swing a knife, and it is not considered a six-sword style at all. With the 3-body technique and Uchiha fluid technique that Nami has mastered now. As long as Nami can be more careful, there may not be no chance to solve Xiaoba. Of course, if Nami's strength is really not good enough, Bai Han will also quietly help. After all, Nami hasn't been practicing chakra for long. In addition, I don't have much combat experience personally, so it's understandable that I can't beat Hachi, who is a pirate. Nami nodded with firm eyes and said, "Don't worry, I will not disappoint your teaching." This time, Nami even used honorifics. At this moment, she absolutely does not want to let down Bai Han's careful teaching for her. What's more, as Xiao Ba was the enemy who indirectly killed Belle, she also wanted to take revenge a long time ago. It's just because of my lack of strength before, this idea is just a fantasy. Now that she finally had a chance for revenge, how could she miss such an opportunity? Belle Mel, take a good look. Today is the day when your enemy will be buried with you. Nami subconsciously clenched the kunai in his hand, his eyes full of determination. It's different from Bai Han's side. A group of Murloc pirates in Dragon Paradise fell into panic after seeing Bai Han subdue their trump card in just an instant. What Bai Han broke through before, has a lot of notoriety for pirates. Even the Murloc pirates of the Dragon Pirates felt terrified. After all, the reputation of East Blue Shiro was accumulated by the life of a famous pirate. This name means at least the death of nearly 10,000 pirates. The blood stained on East Blue Shiro's hands made even the ruthless pirates like them feel chilling. Even the dragon, who had even faced Kizaru, was taken aback by the sight. After all, compared to Kizaru, whose shots are not fatal. That East Blue Shiro was like the reincarnation of Hades. Once he made a move, there would be absolutely no way to live. Through the telescope, the evil dragon can clearly see that Momu's eyes have turned into a pair of strange eyes full of evil patterns. Momu was definitely controlled by that East Blue Shiro by some unknown means at this moment. Moreover, it is still like a puppet, easily manipulated. This strange ability reminded him of the power of devil fruit. Could it be that this East Blue Shira is not a Maramara fruit-capable person, but a devil fruit with hypnosis ability or beast control ability? Single quote. A drop of cold sweat fell from the evil dragon's forehead, and he murmured in his heart. However, now that Momu has been controlled by the opponent, then, the sea is not safe for them. Compared to sea beasts that are naturally huge and possess infinite strength, even Murlocs like them can't get the slightest advantage. What's more, there is an East Blue Shira who can attack into the sea on the surface of the sea, watching. It is obviously too late to escape into the sea now. It seems that we can only fight the full East Blue Shira on the shore. He glanced at the group of Murloc pirates whose eyes were full of fear and whose combat power had declined sharply. The evil dragon wiped the cold sweat off his forehead, and snapped, "The other party is just a lowly human. And he is the weakest human in the sea. What are you afraid of? Follow me and tear him apart." After finishing speaking, the evil dragon picked up the big saw knife beside him and chopped the peak, smashed the deck chair beside him and roared loudly. This voice of the evil dragon and this knife. Although it failed to completely cheer up everyone in the Dragon Pirates. But it still restored some morale of the Dragon Pirates, at least not to be soft-handed. However, the faces of the Murlocs and pirates were full of nervousness and apprehension. Still let the dragon secretly bite the root. Even the 3 major cadres under him are in the same state. How can such a battle continue? It seems that I can only restore some morale by playing some advantages in the early stage of the battle. It's not a big problem. The evil dragon moved his wrist, and said with gloomy eyes. If he had known that the so-called East Blue Shira would have mastered such a weird method, he would not have let Mumu go up to deliver it. The result of letting Momu go up to deliver it was that his morale was greatly reduced. Soon, Momu dragged the three-masted sailboat gradually approaching the Dragon Paradise. And everyone in the Dragon Pirates also saw Bai Han standing on the bow of the three-masted sailing ship, and Nami standing beside Bai Han. That's Nami. She betrayed us Dragon Pirates. Xiao Ba was the first to point to Nami and exclaimed. And other members of the Dragon Pirates also spoke angrily. How dare you betray our Dragon Pirates? Little Nami is so brave. After East Blue Shira is resolved, there is no need to stay in Kokoja village. I want her to know the price of betraying our Dragon Pirates. Nami's betrayal made everyone in the Dragon Pirates furious instantly, and their morale was immediately full, which even the Dragon Pirates didn't expect. What's more, at this moment Nami also brought East Blue Shira. This is not just described as betrayal. Nami wants their lives. In the eyes of everyone in the Dragon Pirates, East Blue Shira was specially invited by Nami to deal with them. As the leader of the Dragon Pirates, the dragon's forehead suddenly had blue veins, and his shark face became extremely ferocious in an instant. Nami's actions are completely slapping him in the face. No pirate leader can tolerate such a betrayal. Very well, let's die together with the backer you think is reliable. The evil dragon's eyes were full of cruelty, and the arm holding the big saw blade also tightened instantly, and the muscles on the arm swelled up high, like a hard rock. At this moment, the dragon, which has entered a rage, is definitely more powerful than usual. However, the rage turned into rage. The evil dragon did not lose his mind after all, and jumped into the water to rush towards Bai Han. Otherwise, face the double blow of Mumu and Bai Han. Even if the dragon does not die, it will definitely peel off its skin. Soon, dragged by Momo, the three-masted sailboat sailed into the Dragon Paradise. All the murlocs of the Dragon Pirates stood on both sides of the waterway with weapons in their hands, staring at Bai Han and Nami on the three-masted sailing ship. However, because the dragon hadn't made a sound yet, they suppressed their anger for the time being and did not rush forward. And at the end of the waterway leading to the Dragon Paradise, there are the three major cadres of the dragon and the Dragon Pirates, who are carrying a big saw blade. Nami, do you think that with the so-called East Blue Shira as a backer, you can provoke Laozi? When Laozi beheads this East Blue Asura, Laozi will personally arrest you and watch the villagers of Kokosha village be massacred before your eyes. And you will be the chief culprit who killed these villagers. The evil dragon grinned grimly, and thrust the big saw blade Zanfeng under his feet heavily, and said coldly. This is actually the normal state of pirates in this sea. It's also what makes pirates so frightening. Once even one pirate is released, the pirate may retaliate without a bottom line. Not killing Admiral Zephyr is a good example. The dragon's threatening words made Nami's delicate body tremble, and his whole body trembled slightly. It wasn't that Nami was afraid because of the dragon's words. On the contrary, Nami's heart is full of killing intent at the moment. Even for the villagers of Kokosha village, she must keep all the members of the Dragon Pirates here. Otherwise, the villagers in Kokosha village will inevitably be massacred. Bai Han glanced at Nami, saw the raging killing intent in the other's eyes, and couldn't help showing a hint of relief in his eyes. In the world of pirates, how can you not kill people? Those pirates are all desperados. If you let them go, they won't let you go. If, like in the original work of One Piece, a group of people are like a saint and don't kill people, then no matter how strong they are, they can't stand it. He also needs to thank the Dragon Gang for successfully arousing Nami's killing intent. As long as Nami has the first time, it will not be so difficult to kill later. At this time, the evil dragon turned his eyes to Bai Han again, and said with a cold and sarcastic expression, East Blue Shira. Today I want to see what skills you, East Blue Shira, have. Oh yes, I heard that I hate pirates, but the little girl next to you seems to be a pirate of our Dragon Pirates. What should I do? Do you want to kill her too? Speaking of this, he spread his hands and said with a grin, if you don't believe it, you can look at her arm is branded with the logo of our Dragon Pirates. As soon as these words came out, Nami's body shook suddenly, and subconsciously covered his arms covered by short sleeves. But after realizing his strange reaction, Nami lowered his head guiltily, not daring to look at Bai-Han at all. Because things are just like what the dragon said, and the mark of the dragon and pirates is branded on her arm. She is a pirate, and Bai-Han will never show mercy to any pirate. However, Nami didn't intend to run away. She knew she couldn't escape such a short distance. Also, Nami didn't want to run. During this period of time, she has enjoyed the taste of being cared for by others. And he successfully lured Bai-Han to the dragon paradise. With Bai-Han's strength, the dragons are doomed to die. Therefore, although I feel a little regretful that I can't realize my dream and repay Bai-Han's teaching grace. However, even if he died at the hands of Bai-Han, Nami admitted it. Sensing the gaze cast by Bai-Han beside him, Nami closed his eyes immediately, pretended to be calm, and said in a slightly trembling tone, "He is right, I was indeed a member of the dragon pirates before." Pirates, but... After thinking about it, Nami sighed, but still didn't choose to explain. Explain that he was forced to become a pirate. Even she herself didn't believe this reason. Every pirate who was caught basically said so. Nami opened his eyes and looked at Bai-Han, silently waiting for his end. At this time, Bai-Han moved, and the big hand that had killed nearly 10,000 pirates reached out towards him, and Nami subconsciously wanted to dodge. But in the end, he closed his eyes and stood there motionless. Is Bai-Han trying to pinch her neck? That's good, at least I can keep a whole body, and the death is not so painful. However, at this moment, a big warm hand suddenly landed on his head, and the force that crushed his Tianling cap in his imagination did not come. The owner of the big hand just rubbed her head gently, and said, "I'm not so indiscriminate between right and wrong. A little girl who is only 16 years old and has no fighting strength becomes a pirate, huh?" There was a bit of sarcasm in Bai-Han's tone, as if mocking the dragon's stupidity. Pirates like Nami who specialize in stealing pirate treasures and have never killed anyone. Even if he is captured by Marine, he will be locked up for a year or two at most before being released. If you meet the kind of Marine who is more talkative, you won't even pursue Nami's crimes. After all, Nami did not pose any threat to civilians. Wouldn't the evil dragon think that he was the type to kill people regardless of right and wrong? Bai-Han glanced at the thin Nami beside him, and said slowly, "From now on, Nami who is a pirate is dead, and Nami who is a bounty hunter is alive." Nami opened his eyes immediately, and blinked his beautiful eyes, as if he hadn't reacted yet. But the next moment, after Nami understood what Bai-Han said, the eyes that looked at Bai-Han suddenly burst into light. "Yeah, I see." Nami smiled playfully, and nodded heavily at Bai-Han in response. Unlocking the shackles in her heart, Nami felt that the whole person became a lot easier. And the next step is to get rid of this opponent that Bai-Han specially selected for her. Nami looked at Xiaoba behind the dragon, with a hint of hatred in his eyes. Seeing that his sowing dissension hadn't worked, the evil dragon couldn't help but clicked his tongue, feeling a little pity in his heart. Of course, he still provoked Bai-Han's mentality in a weird way. It seems that you don't abide by the creed as in the legend. East Blue Shira, that's all. However, Bai-Han has no intention of talking to the dragon. Bai-Han directly pulled out the third-generation Devil May Cry from his waist, then pointed his left hand in front of him, and at the same time, the three-tomo Sharingan turned in his eyes. Phantom Body Flicker Technique. Under the urging of the pupil power of three-tomo Sharingan. Immediately beside Bai-Han, dense phantoms of Bai-Han appeared. This is the special body flicker technique that belongs to Uchiha Shisui and Hokage, and it is also the origin of the name Shisui technique. After half a month of trying, Bai-Han has initially integrated Sharingan's illusion power into the body flicker technique. Although he can't do it like Uchiha Shisui, each split phantom can attack the enemy. However, in the dense phantom that split out at this moment, there are at least 3 phantom attacks that can be effective. Moreover, the 3 phantoms that can play a role are entirely up to Bai-Han to decide which 3 are, and they can be replaced at will, which can be described as hard to guard against. Swish. The next moment, Bai-Han and all the phantoms beside him disappeared in place in an instant, and rushed towards the dragon and pirates. Except for Hachi who was singled out, every member of the dragon pirates was targeted by a phantom. And cadres like Ju and Kruby were targeted by at least 3 phantoms. As for the evil dragon, it was personally targeted by Bai-Han's body. At this moment, Bai Han was obviously the only one attacking the dragon pirates, but he was in a stance of attacking more with less. Chapter 51. This sudden scene made the evil dragon's eyes widen instantly. The densely packed Bai Han immediately occupied every corner of the line of sight. This strong visual impact made the evil dragon's heart tremble violently. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible to be true. How can there be such an outrageous method in this world? The evil dragon immediately denied the idea that these Bai Han were real. If someone can transform into thousands of bodies, wouldn't that mean invincible? Therefore, he believed even more that the scene in front of him was a trick created by Bai Han. However, the next moment, the screams of the Murloc pirates from the evil dragon pirate group broke the evil dragon's thoughts. There were Murloc pirates whose throats were slashed by the blade of Bai Han's avatar, and then fell down clutching their throats in pain. Although the wounds of these Murloc pirates did not splatter blood. But these Murloc pirates whose throats were scratched twitched a few times before dying silently. What kind of monster are you? Chu, one of the 3 cadres of the dragon pirates, was so shocked by this scene that his scalp went numb. He took a sharp breath, and then spit it out towards the Bai Han clones in front of him. 100-shot water iron cannon. Bang bang bang. Water cannons, which were as lethal as ordinary shells, spewed out from Ju's slender mouth continuously. Even an ordinary boat would be smashed to pieces in front of such an attack. However, these attacks landed on Bai Han's avatar. But it directly penetrated the body of Bai Han's avatar, landed in the air, and even injured many Murloc pirates by mistake. Is it fake? Impossible, this fool just killed someone. Kruby looked in shock at a clone of Bai Han who was pierced by the water iron cannon but was unharmed. He clearly saw this Bai Han avatar kill a Murloc pirate. Logically, this should be the opponent's body, but Ju's attack still failed. This is obviously very abnormal. Murloc Karate 1000 Water Righteous Fist. Kruby swung his strongest punch suddenly towards the one in front of him. In an instant, a violent shock wave shot out from Krobi's fist, blasting towards Bai Han's clone in front of him in a fan shape. Boom! A large area of land was lifted up in an instant. A small tree on the path of the attack, which is full of a person's arms, was even split in 2 due to the impact. It can be seen how terrible this blow is. If an ordinary person was hit by this punch, he would be directly blasted into a pulp. However, what shocked Kruby was that his punch with all his strength didn't have the slightest effect. Not to mention the 3 Bai Han clones that rushed towards him. Even the clone of Bai Han who passed by a Murloc pirate and beheaded him was not affected in the slightest. These clones of Bai Han are as evil as the legendary ghosts. How is this possible? Why is my attack not effective at all? Kruby was extremely terrified. Could it be that Bai Han is really a Logia Devil Fruit Maramara fruit capable user as rumored? And now is the elemental sign of Logia Demon Fruit power. But this is not right. His attack went directly through the bodies of these clones of Bai Han. Instead of directly opening a hole in Kizaru's body like the Marine Vice Admiral Kizaru he faced back then. Seeing the 3 Bai Han clones rushing towards him, Kruby backed away crazily. Before he figured out the killing principle of these clones, he didn't dare to let these 3 clones get close to him. The entire dragon pirates were on the verge of collapse in an instant. Except for Hachi who faced Nami, the situation was a little bit better. The rest of the Murlocs were all caught in a hard fight. Even the evil dragon was slashed back again and again under Bai Han's single-handed attack. This was when Bai Han only used his sword skills. It's so ugly, can't you even dance? Bai Han's eyes were full of disappointment. Originally thought that the evil dragon with 10 times or even more power than ordinary humans could bring him a little surprise. But now it seems that the evil dragon is just a reckless man with strange power. The other party's big saw blade seemed to be more of an ornament. You lowly human being, what are you talking about? Who is going to dance? The dragon's eyes were bloodshot, and he slashed at Bai Han's neck fiercely. It seemed that he wanted to chop Bai Han's head off with one blow. But it's a pity that due to the huge gap in swordsmanship, the powerful and heavy blow of the evil dragon was easily knocked in other directions by Bai Han. Since you don't know how to use a knife, then don't use it. Let me see your true strength. With a cold snort, Bai Han casually swung the big saw blade in the dragon's hand and flew away. Then, He also inserted the third-generation ghost in his hand back into the scabbard around his waist. Bai-Han, who has read the original book, naturally knows that compared with using the big saw blade to cut the peak, the strength of the evil dragon is more in the powerful body. Bai-Han is very interested in the physical masters of One Piece world. Although the evil dragon is not considered to be a strong body art, it can also be regarded as a practitioner of individual art. At least, that trick of shark on gear car can directly knock a huge hole out of the wall. Bai-Han wants to see if the Uchiha fluid art he has mastered can compete with the physical arts of One Piece world. It's ridiculous to actually give up your own advantages and want to use the weak human body to confront me head on. The evil dragon rubbed the bloodstain on his palm that was picked out by Bai-Han's knife and said with a sinister smile. If Bai-Han uses a weapon, he is really not good at dealing with Bai-Han. After all, the sharpness of the weapon is enough to smooth out the physical gap to some extent. However, Bai-Han was so arrogant that he wanted to use his own body to face him head-on as a noble Murloc. That would be looking for death. He will use practical actions to prove why Murlocs are a nobler race than humans. After all, the evil dragon raised his hand and took out 2 sets of extremely sharp teeth from his big mouth one by one, and held them in his own hands. Iron tooth skill. Click, click. The evil dragon squeezed the teeth in both hands violently, making a loud clicking sound. Boy, let's see the difference between Murlocs and humans. Scary, ha 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 ha. The evil dragon let out a grinning grin, as if everything had been won. And at this moment, the dragon is using a move that makes Luffy suffer a lot. However, there was not the slightest wave of emotion on Bai-Han's face, and there was even a bit of disdain. A juggling move, are you making me laugh? Show your true skills. With a cold drink, Bai-Han instantly disappeared in place. The next moment, he had already appeared in front of the dragon, and when he raised his leg, he kicked the dragon hard, kicking the dragon on the chin. Kick the dragon high into the air. What? So fast? This was the dragon's last thought before it was kicked away. His eyes had already caught up with Bai-Han's speed. No, it should be said that his eyes saw Bai-Han suddenly appearing in front of him. However, his body couldn't react at all. He could only watch helplessly as this kick hit his chin fiercely. The dragon can hear the sound of bones cracking in his jaw and the sound of teeth breaking. The strong taste of rust filled his mouth. Let the evil dragon know that he was definitely hurt by this foot. The evil dragon sincerely rejoiced that he was a Murloc, otherwise he would have been unable to bear this kick alone. This kind of speed is already powerful, and I'm afraid it can even compare with myself in the water. But it's a pity, this trick still can't defeat him. Go to hell. The evil dragon forcibly regained control of its body, and the teeth clenched in its palms suddenly opened. Then he fiercely pinched Bai-Han in front of him. Once caught by this clip, it is definitely enough to leave 4 rows of blood holes on Bai-Han's body. However, Bai-Han grabbed the dragon's neck the moment the dragon hugged it, and pressed it hard to the ground. With the sudden explosion of chakra in his body, Bai-Han's power soared instantly. The dragon's body, which was originally floating in the air, was instantly pressed hard to the ground, smashing the ground directly with large cracks. Is this your counterattack? The combat awareness is too poor. The counterattack of such a big move is really too slow. While Bai-Han was speaking, his strikes were merciless. Lifting the leg was a heavy chop, which landed fiercely on the dragon's head. This heavy chop directly stomped the evil dragon until it became dizzy, and a lot of blood gushed out from its 7 orifices. At the same time, the evil dragon's already somewhat muddy consciousness was almost completely disappeared in an instant. Without even needing Sharingan's observation ability, Bai-Han easily controlled the rhythm of the battle, completely playing with the dragon in his palm. This is the result of Bai-Han's frenzied fighting these months. Even without relying on other abilities, Bai-Han's physical achievements alone are already comparable to ordinary Jonin. However, the mighty constitution of the evil dragon still made Bai-Han startled. It can be said that his every move is for the purpose of killing, and every hit can be said to be fatal. If it were those ninjas in the Hokage world, I am afraid they would have died many times. However, the evil dragon forcibly ate him so many times and still didn't die. This constitution is simply unbelievably powerful. And the evil dragon is just a not very powerful Murloc. Not to mention comparing it with real flesh monsters like Kaido and Big Mom. Even compared with Jinbei, who is also a murloc, it is more than a little bit worse. It's really hard to imagine how powerful that monster's constitution will be. What's more, there is armament hockey in this world, which can greatly improve one's own defense. This magnificency really makes me a little excited. Bai Han's eyes burned with fierce fighting intent, and at the same time, his attacks became more ruthless. Facing those formidable opponents one by one, he felt his blood boil just thinking about it. No matter how rough the dragon was, he still had no strength to resist Bai Han, who had crushed him by far. Even if Bai Han only showed his physical ability and rich combat experience. However, after only a dozen moves, the evil dragon completely lost consciousness in a coma. In the end, Bai Han, who felt bored, chopped off the head that was as big as an ordinary person's chest. At the same time, the other two cadres of the dragon pirates, Ju and Crow Obi, had already died tragically under the sword of Bai Han's avatar along with the other members of the dragon pirates. This is the phantom body flicker technique jointly created by three Tomo Sharingan's illusion and body flicker technique. Even if Bai Han is just a beginner, it is still not comparable to Ju, Kruby and these murloc pirates. What's more, Ju and Kruby didn't understand what was going on with this trick at all. Unless Bai Han who released this trick is defeated, or has the ability to dispel illusions, otherwise this trick is unsolvable. Compared with the bloody scene of the dragon, the death of Ju, Kruby and others can be called weird. All the murloc pirates stared wide-eyed in horror, and fell to the ground lifelessly. Obviously these murloc pirates didn't have any injuries on their bodies, but they still showed the appearance of being hit by a blade. If a forensic doctor examines the corpses of these murloc pirates, they will be able to find them. These murloc pirates are actually scared to death. At this moment, in the Dragon Paradise, the last remaining battle is the battle between Hachi and Nami. Bai Han, who finished his battle, has no intention of intervening in the battle between Nami and Hachi. Instead, he found a chair at the side and sat down, quietly watching the battle between the two. Hachi's strength is obviously stronger than Nami's. Adding Nami doesn't have much actual combat experience. Therefore, the battle between Nami and Hachi is basically Hachi suppressing Nami. However, Nami is not without chance. With him on the side putting pressure on Xiaoba, coupled with the psychological pressure of all his teammates dying. Xiaoba's combat power can only be displayed at most 70% to 80%. If Nami knows how to seize the opportunity, there is at least a 60% certainty that he can kill Hachi. At least, if he was switched to Nami's position, he would have at least 7 ways to kill Hachi just for a moment. However, this is Nami's maiden battle after all, and it has only been half a month since Nami has mastered chakra. Bai Han is very satisfied with Nami's current performance. After Nami wrestled with Xiaoba for another half an hour, after confirming that Nami really couldn't kill Xiaoba, Bai Han still chose to shoot. 3 Tomo Sharingan quietly appeared in Bai Han's eye sockets, with a slight red light. The next moment, Xiaoba's hand that was swinging the knife suddenly stopped, and froze for a moment. After playing for so long, Nami, who has been getting better and better, seized this opportunity keenly. He straightened up and approached Xiaoba's arms, and stabbed the kunai in his hand into Xiaoba's heart. After the successful attack, Nami did not pause at all, and directly pulled out another kunai from the ninja bag on his thigh with his backhand. In the process of retreating, he threw it viciously into Xiaoba's throat, completing a one-hit lore. This is also one of the ultimate moves in Uchiha Fluid Art. Nami can use it so smoothly, it is enough to see the hard work she has put in during this time. It's been pretty good, but it still needs work. Bai Han walked to Nami's side and gave an encouragement. Then he took out the camera from his arms and took a close-up of Xiaoba. Although it is said that his current relationship with Smoker does not require verification in this regard to get the bounty. However, it is best if this procedure can go. What kind of trouble is involved in the province? What Bai Han hates the most is troubles on such small issues. After finishing all this, Bai Han rubbed Nami's little head, which was still a little stunned by the first murder, and said softly, "Do you need to visit your hometown? You may not come back for a long time gone." Monsters run rampant on the Grand Line. Even if Bai Han has a system, he doesn't dare to say that he will be able to sweep them all the way. Therefore, this section of the journey will inevitably be very long. Nami left this time, and it may be several years or even 10 years later when he returns next time. Bai Han's words immediately made Nami shake off from the trance. She glanced at the corpses of the dragon pirates all over the floor, and then at the dragon paradise behind her. Her eyes suddenly sparkled. Wait for a while. The most important thing now is of course to search for loot. After all, Nami didn't wait for Bai Han's reaction, and rushed towards the dragon paradise with a strange smile. Bai Han with his hands frozen in midair. After a while, Bai Han smiled from the corner of his mouth hidden behind the high collar. This money fan looks like Nami. Meanwhile, not long after Bai Han wiped out the dragon pirates, Marine has already received information from East Blue. Never underestimate the intelligence power as the strongest overlord at sea. Although the world of One Piece seems to be in a backward era where cold weapons and hot weapons are still alternating, the existence of phone bugs makes the intelligence department of One Piece world very advanced. Even if the news is thousands of miles away, it can be quickly delivered to naval headquarters. At this moment, in the marshal's office, the three marine iron triangles of Sengoku, Crane, and Garp, as well as Admiral Kizaru, who is resident in Marineford because of his high speed, all sit here. Garp was still out of shape as usual, eating the senbei with big mouthfuls. Kizaru is also touching the fish as always, using life return to grow nails, and then slowly trimming them, while his mind is already thinking about where to eat after get off work. Only Sengoku was listening to Vice Admiral's report on Bai Han. Sure enough, there is still no one left alive. This killing intent is really terrifying. Sengoku sighed, a little helplessly. Of course, he didn't mean that Bai Han didn't kill well. He, the Marine Marshal, is naturally very clear about what the evil dragon gang has done. The death of this group of Murlocs is not a pity at all. Even if they die 10,000 times, it will be cheap for them. However, these Murlocs are also related to Jinbei, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, which makes the evil dragons a bit tricky. Now that the group of Murlocs who were doing evil in East Blue were beheaded by Bai Han, Sengoku was naturally extremely happy. It is very difficult to keep Bai Han in the follow-up. Sengoku doesn't think Jinbei is such a good person. Even if his former friend was killed, he can calmly reason with Bai Han. You know, Jinbei used to be an extremely racist like a dragon. There are not a few lives contaminated in the hands. The two are partners who have the most topics in Fisher Tiger's Sun Pirates. This is a good thing. As long as this child does not endanger civilians, killing some pirates is nothing. Crane Vice Admiral said with a chuckle. Although she is a woman, she also kills a lot under her hands. Moreover, being in a high position, she doesn't have so many ideas of the Holy Mother, and she doesn't reject righteous people like Bai Han who don't stay behind pirates. As long as the safety of civilians is not affected, no matter how many pirates are killed, it is still benefiting the world. Well, the next step is to let Smoker tell that kid our plan, Crane, and then I will trouble you. Sengoku said in a deep voice. Sengoku wasn't in a hurry as he had already planned. After finishing speaking, he turned his attention to Garp, who was eating senbei heartlessly, and the veins on his forehead were bulging. You fool, can you be more serious in my office? Sengoku let out a low growl and disappeared on the seat in an instant. The next moment, Sengoku appeared directly in front of Garp, grabbed the senbei from Garp's hand and poured it into his mouth. Garp was stunned for a moment, and then suddenly flew into a rage, grabbing the senbei in Sengoku's hand. Asshole, that's my senbei. Watching the two big bosses of Marine fighting like children, Kizaru shrank subconsciously, trying to reduce his sense of existence. Knowing too many secrets, he shouldn't be silenced, right? It's really scary to dig inside. After playing around for a while, Sengoku sat on the chair panting and said, How did you educate your grandson, you old fool? Why did your grandson Ace go out to sea and become a pirate? When hearing this information, Sengoku was numb. Nima, the grandson of the marine hero, has become a pirate. If this news gets out, the whole world will be shocked. Fortunately, Garp has news about his grandson, but not many people know about it. Otherwise, I don't know how many uproars will be caused. PFF'd haha, that guy Ace really went out to sea. Garp, who was also half lying on the sofa, opened his mouth and laughed. However, there was still a bit of worry in his eyes. Ace, are you still following that man's path? Individuals have their own choices. Since Ace has chosen to go the pirate route, he will not interfere. Maybe joining the pirate camp is also a way out for Ace. After all, Ace is that man's child. Once the world government knows that the man's child is still alive, they will never let Ace go. Fortunately, with his previous teachings, Ace should not become a vicious person. Sengoku glanced at Garp. His old man was just sticking out his ass, and he knew what it smelled like. If it weren't for him to wipe the old man's ass, how could Ace's matter be suppressed so easily? It wasn't for that reason, though, that he brought up Ace. What I want to say is that your grandson's sea area is gradually approaching Bai Han. Sengoku said quietly. What? Garp stood up abruptly. If Ace meets Bai Han, how can he still survive? No. He absolutely can't let these two meet. I'm going to East Blue. Please write a note for me. Garp's voice echoed in the office, but the person had already disappeared in the office. The strong wind directly lifted the documents in the office and landed on the face of Kizaru, who shrank himself as small as possible. He seems to know some terrible secret again. Kizaru secretly wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, regretting why he appeared here in his heart. The good news brought by Nami plunged the entire Kokoja village into a carnival. They have been persecuted by the dragon pirates for too long. Almost every year, there are families who can't get enough of berry, and they are brutally killed by the dragon gang. Even if they were lucky enough to make up the so-called protection fee of the evil dragon, the family's income for a year was basically emptied, and they could only wait for the next year to continue working hard, and their living conditions were very poor. The tragedy of the Nami family can only be regarded as a small microcosm of the suffering in Kokoja village. However, all the villagers surrounded Nami, and not many people dared to approach Bai Han. After all, Bai Han had just finished killing at this moment, so he couldn't restrain his murderous aura very well. Coupled with the fact that there are nearly 10,000 lives in his hands, his body is simply full of evil spirits. If the murderous intent can materialize, Bai Han will definitely be surrounded by a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Ordinary people would feel chills all over their body just by being close to Bai Han, and could not speak smoothly. Of course, the villagers of Kokoja village looked at Bai Han with only respect but no fear. After all, Bai Han has never had a single record of harming civilians. He is definitely the friendliest bounty hunter and has nothing to be afraid of. The only thing that surprised Bai Han was Nami's sister Nuo Chigao. This is also the only one who was not affected by anything and stood beside him. Thank you for taking care of my younger sister, Master East Blue Shira. Sorry, I don't have anything good to entertain you. This is our orange wine, a specialty of our small place. I hope you don't mind. Nuo Chigao walked to Bai Han's side with a glass of orange wine in both hands, and said respectfully with a gentle smile on his face. Nuochi, who is only 2 years older than Nami, looks more mature and charming than Nami. Because of taking care of the orange orchard all the year round, Nuo Chigao's skin has obvious tanning marks, and she is a very standard black-skinned beauty. Bai Han glanced at Nuo Chigao, and then took the wine glass from Nuo Chigao's hand. After taking a sip, Bai Han praised, "Very good wine. This orange wine has the mellow aroma and sweetness of oranges, and aftertaste, there is a fresh sweetness rushing straight to the throat." It is indeed a relatively good wine that Bai Han drank in the world of pirates. However, if compared with the liquor from the previous life, it would be much worse. It's more like an alcoholic drink than a drink. As long as you like it. When you leave, bring some orange wine to drink. Seeing that Bai Han took the wine glass and took a sip, Nuochi couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. It seems that this Master East Blue Shira is not as difficult to contact as he seems. With Nami following beside the Lord, she can also breathe a sigh of relief. Bai Han nodded. This orange wine is really good as a pastime drink on the road. After letting go of his worries, Nuo Chigao began to look at Bai Han curiously. After all, Nuo Chigao was just an 18-year-old girl, and she was naturally full of curiosity about the legendary East Blue Shira. What's more, she also heard from Nami that this East Blue Shira-sama is just a boy similar to her. This made her feel inexplicably fond of Bai Han. After all, which girl hasn't imagined that her significant other is a great hero? And Bai Han, who claimed the title of East Blue Shira at a young age and saved Kokosha village, just perfectly fits the image of this great hero. At this time, Bai-Han just pulled down his collar and took a sip of wine. Nuo Chigao happened to take a good look at that handsome side face. In an instant, Nuo Chigao froze there, her heart beating wildly. She never thought that there are people in this world who can see so well that she has already thought of the names of her future children with just one glance. At the same time, Nuo Chigao never thought that the world-renowned bounty hunter in front of him would actually look so good-looking. Just a deserted side face is enough to make people intoxicated. If such a face looks at him affectionately, and only himself is in the eyes, she might become the happiest woman in the world. For a moment, Nuo Chigao was directly fascinated. It wasn't until Nami came over and hugged Nuo Chigao's head that Nuo Chigao reacted as if he had just woken up from a dream. I'm sorry, did my sister behave rudely? Nami looked at Bai-Han apologetically and asked. At the same time, he strangled Nuo Chigao's arm and exerted force in a demonstrative way. She didn't see her for a while, when she saw her elder sister looking at Bai-Han with a silly smile on her face. If it took a while longer, wouldn't Nuo Chigao jump on Bai-Han's body? However, Nami didn't mean to blame Noki Gao. After all, Bai-Han is so in line with the fantasies of the other half that these little girls have in mind. Beautiful appearance, strong strength, commendable qualities, plus he is the savior who saved his hometown. May I ask which woman can stand such a test? If you want to blame, you have to blame Bai-Han. What are you doing so perfectly? However, fortunately, Bai-Han is not that kind of dissolute character, otherwise he would be a walking pile driver. Naturally, Bai-Han didn't know about Nami's slander. He looked at Nami, shook his head and said, "No, your sister is fine. It's really good." To be able to withstand the evil spirit that he unconsciously exudes to test him, it can be seen that Nuo Chigao really cares about Nami. Such feelings made Bai-Han a little envious. As for Bai-Han's words, Nuo Chigao immediately felt his cheeks burn. Fortunately, her skin is relatively dark, so it's hard to tell. Of course, Nuo Chigao also knew that Bai-Han didn't mean that, but he just couldn't control the association. Is he interested in me too? Suppressing the throbbing in his heart, Nuo Chigao pretended to be nonchalant, looked at Nami and said with a smile, "Nami, you are going to the Grand Line, and I don't know how long it will take to come back. Let me rest here for a few days. God, take a good look at your hometown." Although Nuo Chigao's words contained part of his own thoughts. However, she was really reluctant to part with her younger sister who was about to travel far. Although this world is full of magnificent adventures, it also hides dangerous murderous intentions. From the moment I set foot on the sea, I basically spent every day with my head tied to my pants. What's more, what Nami is going to is the Grand Line full of countless crises and pirates. Nami's heart was moved by Nuo Chigao's words. She looked at Bai-Han, her eyes filled with pleading, "Bai-Han, why don't we stay and rest for a few days?" Nami would never have imagined that this sentence at this moment would make her regret it for a long time in the future. Precisely because of this beginning, she missed the opportunity to enjoy Bai-Han exclusively. Facing Nami's request, Bai-Han naturally would not refuse. After all, Nami is just a 16-year-old girl who suddenly has to leave her hometown to go so far away. Even a few years, more than 10 years will not come back. It is a very normal thing to want to say goodbye to my hometown. It is also impossible for him to deprive Nami of the right to say goodbye so cruelly. I'll give you 5 days, is that enough? After calculating in his mind, Bai-Han asked. During these 5 days, he can practice observation haki and phantom body flicker technique. As for observation haki, he is now able to dodge 80% of shurikens with his eyes closed. If nothing else, it should be not far from comprehending observation haki. Even if observation haki is not mastered in the end, this heaven-defying ability to perceive danger alone is enough for him to exert an effect comparable to that of a junior observation haki. 5 days. That's enough. Thank you, Bai-Han. Nami said with surprise on his face. Originally, she wanted to jump directly into Bai-Han's arms. But there is Nuo Chigao next to her, and she and Bai-Han haven't reached this point yet, so I don't know if Bai-Han will resist her approach. Therefore, I suppressed this thought, and turned to hold promise excitedly. Nuo Chigao, it seems that I can accompany you for a few days. Nami shouted excitedly. Nuo Chigao took a peek at Bai Han, with anticipation flashing in his eyes, and at the same time he replied in the same way, well, then we should have a good chat. Based on her understanding of Nami, Nami will definitely run around in Kokoja village during this time, trying to remember her hometown as much as possible. And at this time, she had the opportunity to be alone with Bai Han. Sorry, little Nami, I'm going to launch an offensive against your excellent captain. No matter what the final result is, I don't want to leave any regrets in my life. Nuo Chigao thought to himself. Sure enough, it was not what Nuo Chigao expected. At noon on the first day, Nami, who originally said she wanted to accompany her, couldn't bear it anymore and ran out. After all, Nami is just a 16-year-old girl. After suddenly letting go of the burden in her heart, the playful nature of a 16-year-old girl was also released. I just took a group of children to chase chickens and dogs in the village, having fun. And Nuo Chigao, who finally didn't have a light bulb by his side, also leaned over to Bai Han's side, and was shocked by the cruelty of Bai Han's training method. Always hand over towels, hot tea, and prepare medicines for Bai Han to treat after Bai Han's training. Prepare hot water for Bai Han to wash away the blood and mud. This meticulous care made Bai Han feel quite flattered. It was the first time someone was so considerate to him. Although it may be a little uncomfortable for the first time and the second time, Bai Han even told Nuo Chigao not to continue. But Nuo Chigao just agreed every time, and will continue to do so next time. Seeing that he couldn't refuse, Bai Han had no choice but to accept Nuo Chigao's considerate care. After more times, he gradually got used to it. Let me ask, which man can refuse the caring care of a black-skinned beauty? No matter from that level, Nuo Chigao left a deep impression on Bai Han. On the night of the 5th day, I exercised for a whole day. Bai Han, who was soaking in the warm and comfortable bath with his eyes closed, suddenly opened his eyes sharply. 3 Tomo Sharingan quietly appeared in his eye sockets. Someone appeared outside the bathroom door, but I don't know whether the person is an enemy or a friend. Bai Han glanced at 3rd generation Gush and Shizu who were placed in the corner, but did not act rashly. Instead, his hands quickly formed seals in the pool, condensing ninjutsu as a response. Now he offends both Jinbei and Rayleigh. No matter which of these two guys are, they are not easy opponents. Now he has no ability to fight against these two. Crash. Click. At this time, the bathroom door was suddenly opened. A slender figure broke into the smoky bathroom, and then directly closed the door. The blue hair looming in the smoke. It made Bai Han almost spit out the fire-style huo long technique that was ready to go out in his throat. Nuo Chigao. Looking at the handsome figure in the smoke, Bai Han cried out in surprise. What's happening here? Could it be that he has traveled to some strange book plot again? Shish, don't yell so loudly. It will be terrible if Nami hears it. Nuo Chigao immediately put up her finger, put it on her mouth and said. After all, she ran a few steps faster and came to the bathtub. Wow, accompanied by the sound of water flowing, the water level in the bath suddenly rose a lot. At the same time, Bai Han could clearly feel a soft yet resilient body pressing against him. This tense and exciting feeling made his heart pound instantly. He's never done anything so exciting in his life. What are you up to? Bai Han hurriedly lowered his voice and asked. I just don't want to make myself regret. Nuo Chigao hugged Bai Han tightly, leaned against Bai Han's back, squinted his eyes and smiled. During the previous 5 days of contact, she had already understood that the boy in front of her, who looked like a hedgehog, was actually a big boy who was not very good at expressing. In fact, Bai Han is far from the aloofness she imagined before. This discovery made her feel pleasantly surprised, but also a little regretful. Surprisingly, this kind of Bai Han gave an ordinary girl like her a chance to get close. It's a pity that such a boy doesn't belong to her after all, and he's leaving here soon. It was precisely for this reason that Nuo Chigao let go of her reserve and shyness, and chose to make a last-ditch effort. After all, she still greedily hopes that she can leave some traces in Bai Han's heart. Even if the intimacy between the two is limited to the present. You don't have to. Bai Han had a complicated expression on his face. Just as he was about to say something, his mouth was gently covered by Nuo Qigao from behind. Nuo Qigao's voice came from behind. Hush, I know what you want to say, but I'm afraid I can only meet a man like you once in my life. Moreover, even if she really met the second one, an ordinary girl like her, there was no possibility of any contact. Therefore, she just wants to exchange her whole life for the tenderness of this moment. Thinking of this, Nuo Qigao gently turned Bai Han around, and looked at Bai Han's perfect body almost greedily. But the next moment she froze. Because in the past few days, she clearly saw that Bai Han had many wounds on his body during training. Even the wounds she helped to treat were all the same. However, at this moment, Bai Han's whole body doesn't even have a single scar, let alone wounds. That white chest is as crystal clear as a jade carving. The 8-pack abdominal muscles with obvious ups and downs are as perfect as a statue, and Nuo Qigao subconsciously touched them. But soon Nuo Qigao woke up. But instead of moving her hand away, she even fondled it with nostalgia. At the same time she exclaimed, "Your body recovers so quickly. Don't those wounds even leave scars? Anyway, Bai Han is leaving tomorrow, what face does she need? It's better to spend the night recklessly, leave good memories for yourself, and take it out to reminisce in the follow-up lonely life." Bai Han, should he say something in this situation? After a long while, Bai Chao finally choked out the sentence, "I am in better health." If you want to say that you have a good impression of Nuo Qigao, of course there is. The other party's almost meticulous care during the past 5 days has left a deep imprint in his heart. Bai Han even considered that after he became the strongest in this world, he would return to Kokosha village and spend his whole life with Nuo Qigao. However, Nuo Qigao's sudden attack caught him by surprise. It made him feel a little dazed now, not knowing what kind of reaction he should make, so he could only follow Nuo Shanghao's rhythm. Just reject Nuo Qigao. He still has a little affection for Nuo Qigao. Moreover, Nuo Qigao even said that kind of words, it would be too cruel to refuse. But if he accepted it, he himself felt a little inappropriate. The water in pirate world is too deep, except for the 4 emperors admiral in front of you. And the unfathomable 5 elders. There is also an I am being able to destroy an island with one blow. Even if he owns the system, Bai Han is not sure that he will be able to go all the way smoothly. And if he unfortunately died halfway, that would be very cruel to Nuo Qigao. For a moment, Bai Han's heart was complicated, and his eyes looking at Nuo Qigao also became erratic. And at this moment, Nami's voice suddenly came from outside the bathroom door. "Did something happen? Why did I hear you yelled just now? Are you calling me?" Nami asked with some doubts. Just now she was in the room preparing to pack her luggage when she heard Bai Han shout from the bathroom. So, she immediately put down what she was doing and rushed over here. Nami's voice made Bai Han and Nuo Qigao's bodies instantly stiff. Especially Bai Han, even Sharingan was scared out. At this time, he is extremely eager to get Obito's Kamui. Then he can hide directly in the Kamui space. But unfortunately he didn't. If Nami knows about the situation in the bathroom, what's the deal? She seduced her sister away after only 5 days in Kokosha village. Nami knew she had to blow it up right away. How does this make him face Nami in the future? "I didn't call you, but you heard it wrong." Bai Han pretended to be calm, and said in a flat tone. At this time, Bai Han saw a malicious smile on Nuo Qigao's face, which made him feel alarmed. However, at this moment he is absolutely unable to move. Nami is right outside the door, and Nami can hear everything in the bathroom clearly. If Nami barges in, he won't be able to wash himself off even if he jumps into the ocean. He gave Nuo Qigao a warning look, signaling him not to move. Then he saw Nuo Qigao quietly sinking into the water with a smirk on his face. Bai Han, boo 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 boo, accompanied by a burst of bubbles on the surface of the water. Bai Han, city people really know how to play. Nami outside the bathroom obviously didn't think much, just murmured, "Really?" Exclamation mark. Maybe I heard it wrong, but where did Nuo Qigao go? Why can't I find her? These words made Bai Han's body tense up subconsciously. Fortunately, Nami was still too innocent at her age, so she didn't think about it so much. Hearing the sound of Nami's footsteps walking away, Bai-Han relaxed. He was really scared to death. Bai-Han felt that even when he was fighting for the first time, he was never so nervous. In the end, Bai-Han and Nuo Chigao didn't stay in the bathroom for long. Of course, Bai-Han did not take the last step in the end. Although Nuo Chigao said that he didn't mind, and was very happy to take the last step with him. However, Bai-Han, as a man, absolutely cannot be so tasteless. Otherwise, what is the difference between this kind of behavior and Usopp's father, Usopp, a scumbag? Abandoning his pregnant wife, and saying that it was for a man's dream, is simply a model of ruthlessness. In the ancient times of the Dragon Kingdom, no matter what, he would be reduced to the same treatment as Chen Shimei. After some deliberation, Bai-Han used the 3 Tomo Sharingan to imprint Chakra's training methods and some ninjutsu he knew into Nuo Chigao's memory. Middle. Although I don't know what Nuo Chigao's talent is. However, this at least gave Nuo Chigao a chance to become stronger. As long as Nuo Chigao's talent is not too bad, he has a special Jonin level of strength. At least in places like East Blue, Nuo Chigao is basically invincible. Even if some unsightly pirates hit Kokoja village, Nuo Chigao can still have enough strength to deal with those pirates. Early the next morning, Nami, who had already packed his luggage, followed Bai-Han, saying hello to the surrounding villagers and saying his final farewell. Knowing that Nami was leaving, the villagers got up early to see Bai-Han and Nami off. Along the way, Nami's energetic voice never stopped. This made Bai-Han feel much better when he was about to leave. Soon, the two arrived at the pier in Kokoja. However, at this moment, a warship slowly approaching from the distant sea instantly attracted the attention of the two of them. It was a huge warship with a dog's head hanging on its prow. The shape is very unique. Nami was fine, but Bai-Han frowned instantly. Marine hero Garp. Bai-Han murmured softly. What is this guy doing here? He doesn't remember that the route of Windmill Town needs to pass through here. Could it be that the other party came here specially to find him? It's just that he doesn't think he can have any intersection with this level of existence. For a moment, Bai-Han's eyebrows became a little more dignified. I don't know whether Garp's intention is to be an enemy or a friend. If it was an enemy, then today might be a bit scary. Bai-Han began to think carefully whether he had offended Garp along the way. However, no matter how he thinks about it, he doesn't remember doing anything to offend Garp. Even when hunting those pirates, he deliberately avoided the direction of Windmill Town. At the same time, try not to do anything to young pirates with pockmarked faces who are used to being shirtless. Just to avoid offending Garp. This hob meat is really too strong. It can be called the existence of the pirate ceiling. Even according to the performance in the comics, it may also have some kind of 4-dimensional pocket ability. In the original plot of Pirates, Summit War Akainu killed Ace. If Sengoku hadn't pressed Garp, Garp would have gone directly to Akainua. And he is not someone like Marine. If he touches Ace, it is hard to guarantee that Garp won't just jump over and punch him to death. Unless Garp or the dragon has some unexplained fool child, Garp shouldn't be looking for trouble. Bai-Han murmured in his heart. At the same time, I have already started to think about how to run. However, what makes Bai-Han feel dark is that no matter how he thinks, he seems to be unable to escape Garp's pursuit. The strength gap between the two sides is really too big. At the moment, he is at best a slightly higher strength than Naval Headquarters Rear Admiral. Even from the Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral there is a slight gap. There is no way to compare with Garp, a real 4 Emperors level existence. If Garp was hundreds of miles away from him, he might still be able to escape. But now he can see Garp, and Garp can see him. There is no point in trying to escape at such a close distance. I just hope you don't come looking for trouble. Bai-Han began to adjust his breath silently, trying to improve his state to the best. Even if the opponent is Garp, a pirate ceiling level figure, he is not prepared to sit still. Soon, the dog-headed ship approached the port of Kokoja village. The figure at the bow of the warship wearing a dog-headed hat with half of his face covered by the shadow of the brim of the hat also appeared in Bai-Han's sight. Just looking at that figure, Bai-Han felt a huge sense of oppression rushing towards his face. This is basically equivalent to how ordinary ninjas felt when they saw Lord Madara during the Fourth Ninja World War. Even just looking at it makes my scalp tingle. PFF ha ha ha, you are very good. I have heard your name in naval headquarters. The big mouth under Garp's dog-headed hat suddenly grinned. The next moment, Garp, who was still 100 meters away, disappeared instantly, and when he reappeared, he was already in front of Rihan. So fast. Bai-Han was shocked in his heart. Is this the strength of the ceiling of the pirate world's physical skills? You know, Garp has the strength of demon fruit power comparable to Kaido and Big Mom just by virtue of his physical ability. It is conceivable what kind of terrifying energy is contained in the body of this tall old man. Once Garp gets a suitable devil fruit, he couldn't imagine what a monster Garp would become. However, at this moment, he couldn't see what kind of thoughts Garp had come here. But what is certain is that this does not seem to be the Marine's intention to trouble him. If he really wanted to deal with him, it seemed that he didn't need someone of Garp's level to do it himself, and those elite vice admirals alone were enough for him to drink. It's all a false name, you are too famous. I don't know if you came here this time, do you have any advice? After Bai-Han considered it for a while, he asked politely. It's a pity that he hasn't activated the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan yet, otherwise he wouldn't need to be so careful. I believe that with the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, you can grow taller. Then he can have the ability to have an equal dialogue with the ceiling of this world. PFF ha ha ha, of course it's a good thing, a great thing. Come, let's go to the side to talk. Garp smiled and hugged Bai-Han's shoulders. However, Garp gave up the idea of taking Bai-Han to the tavern after glancing at the dumbfounded civilians with worried eyes, Nami and Nuo Chigao. Instead, he chose to go to a remote corner where no one was around. Although in most cases, Garp is not very reliable. However, Garp can be trusted when it comes to serious business. At least, at this moment, in order to drive Bai-Han to Alabasta as soon as possible, without running into his grandson Ace, Garp is very reliable. You should know about 7 warlords of the sea, right? Garp glanced at Bai-Han with deep eyes, and asked in a low voice. Bai-Han didn't understand what Garp meant by asking this suddenly. But still nodded, replied, well, I know something. Could it be because of the seaman Jinbei? However, since everyone has been offended to death, is there any room for relaxation? What's more, even if there is room for relaxation, Bai-Han doesn't want to ease it. Although not all pirates are pure villains, some are indeed just pirates that adventurers call themselves. But at least Hexia Jinbei definitely does not belong to this group of people. The underworld boss who has committed countless crimes, just because he has changed his mind after retirement, does he not need to be held accountable for the crimes he committed? This is simply a joke in the slippery world. Since you know about 7 warlords of the sea, you should know that there are only 6 people in 7 warlords of the sea right now. Garp continued. 6. This remark made Bai-Han raise his eyebrows slightly. There are only 7 warlords of the sea now. However, he suddenly remembered the news that Marine invited Ace to become 7 warlords of the sea in the original plot. It seems that the current 7 warlords of the sea really only has 6. I just don't know who the missing person is. Well, 6. Garp nodded, and continued. The current 7 warlords of the sea includes Hexia Jinbei, Pirate Empress Hancock, the world's #1 swordsman Hawkeye, Heavenly Yak Flamingo, Gecko Moria, Sand Crocodile Lockdar. Each they are all big pirates who are famous all over the world. They are powerful and have a very high reputation at the same time. Bai-Han frowned, and looked at Garp. What do you mean? Marine wants to use my hands to hunt and kill these 7 warlords of the sea. Such a thing is not impossible. 7 warlords of the sea, although it looks on the surface, is a joint FA high thief force proposed and formed by Marine Marshal Sengoku. However, just a mere Marine Marshal, where did Sengoku get so much power to grant the 7 warlords of the sea that terrifying power? I'm afraid Sengoku just became the mouthpiece of the 5 elders, the one who took the blame. The fundamental purpose is to hit Marine's prestige, and save Marine from having any thoughts that shouldn't be there. Sengoku, as the Marine Marshal, is she lazy who would make such a move? 7 warlords of the sea, Marine, and 4 emperors, these 3 forces check and balance each other on the sea, directly reaching a delicate balance. Let neither Marine nor 4 emperors dare to act rashly. I'm afraid that the peaches will be picked by Shichibukai, a powerful third-party force. And this is exactly the stable situation that the world government wants to see. Therefore, Marine wants to hire him to solve 7 warlords of the sea. It seems not unreasonable. Garp was taken aback by Bai Han's words, and looked at Bai Han in surprise for a long time. After a long while, he burst out laughing. PFF ha ha ha. You really dare to think, boy. 7 warlords of the sea is not such an easy to deal with. With the strength you have shown now, you can still deal with it. Not any of the 7 warlords of the sea. Bai Han, since you don't want him to solve it, why did the International talk to him about it? Maybe let him join 7 warlords of the sea. He would like to join 7 warlords of the sea, and take advantage of the various benefits of the world government. However, he is not a pirate, but a bounty hunter. World government can let him join 7 warlords of the sea. Then he would have to beat the other 7 warlords of the sea to death. After all, no one would wish to be in the same faction as his mortal enemy. At this time, Garp also stopped laughing, looked at the distant sea with deep eyes and said, however, our marine executives unanimously decided to send you to the position of 7 warlords of the sea. For you, and also for other rewards. Gold Hunter a chance. Garp is solid when it is solid, and now is one of the few times Garp is solid. However, what Garp said at this moment caused Bai Han to fall into a deep silence. Do you think that's possible? Competent for the position of 7 warlords of the sea, Bai Han thinks he is still qualified. Iron Slash, 3 Tomo Sharingan, Jonin level chakra, plus many ninjutsu. His strength is already very close to Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral. He only needs to completely stabilize the intention of cutting iron, or push the degree of integration a little more, and he can have the strength of the Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral level. Naturally, there is no problem in securing the position of 7 warlords of the sea. Moreover, he can also understand Marine's thoughts. Once he becomes the benchmark of bounty hunters, let some people see that bounty hunters are not a hopeless dead end. Then, a large number of bounty hunters will emerge in this sea. This will inevitably have a huge impact on the pirate forces. But precisely because of this, how could the world government agree to make him 7 warlords of the sea? What the world government wants is a balance that keeps all nations under threat. Only in this way can those allied countries obediently offer heavenly gold to seek the asylum of the world government. And once the arrogance of the pirates is suppressed, the threat hanging over the heads of all countries in the world is gone. Then those countries give back the gold in the sky. This is definitely a scene that the world government cannot tolerate. No matter how you think about it, Bai Han doesn't think 5 elders can agree to such a proposal. PFF ha ha ha, you don't need to worry so much. How to send you up is our business, all you need to do is to accumulate enough fame. We have already arranged for you. After you leave here, go directly to Alabasta to challenge Clockadar. As long as you can hold on to Clockadar for a while, your reputation is enough. Garp patted Bai Han's shoulder with his big hand and laughed. However, what Garp said made Bai Han look at him strangely. Let him challenge Lockdoll right now, Marine is this serious. The strength he displayed seems to be only at the level of Naval Headquarters Rear Admiral. Although Clockadar was the first 7 warlords of the sea to lose to Luffy, but others were also the real strength of Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral. Coupled with the advantage of being at home in the desert, even if Clockadar is always frying fish, his strength has declined a lot. But that's at least the strength of Naval Headquarters Elite Vice Admiral. The loss to Luffy is entirely because of Luffy's aura of the protagonist. Luffy's constant sit-ups scare Lockdoll a lot. After all, in the eyes of Clockdoll, he has clearly killed Luffy 3 times. But in the end, after a few days, Luffy appeared in front of me full of energy. Who wouldn't be afraid of this? If it were him, he would be afraid too. And he doesn't have Luffy's protagonist aura. If he faced Clockdoll now, he might not have enough lives to kill others. What's more, K-Lockdar is the Logia demon fruit power, and he seems to have no way to threaten K-Lockdar now. Unless it is like Luffy, using blood to prevent Clockdoll from elementalization. However, this approach seems very unreliable. It takes K-Lockdoll's wisdom to be able to actively ignore this weakness of his own. Seemingly seeing the question in Bai Han's eyes, Garp immediately laughed and said, "Don't worry, Crane Vice Admiral and Momoshiki Vice Admiral will fight for you. even if you lose, Lokdar will not dare to do anything to you, he can only play this scene with you. After all, Garp restrained his smile, and said in a serious tone, besides, this is the only way we can save you. According to intelligence, Haisha Jinbei has disappeared from the Fishmen Island. Of course, Garp's last sentence was to lie to Bai Han, he just wanted Bai Han to leave here quickly, so as to avoid running into his grandson Ace. It has only been 5 days since the evil dragon was killed. Jinbei didn't have much power in his hands, so how could he know the news from East Blue so quickly? For his grandson, Garp obviously didn't even want his old face. Although Garp has no shame at all. And because of poor intelligence, Bai Han naturally didn't know this. So he frowned subconsciously. Jinbei will come to find himself, this is something that Bai Han has already prepared for mentally. Facing an existence with alternate admiral level strength, even in the sea whose combat power is no less than that of admiral level, he was staring at him. Even Bai Han felt the great pressure coming. Although I don't know why Marine wants to help himself. But it also seems like a good path. No matter what conspiracy exists on Marine's side, as long as the benefits are obtained, so what if they are used by Marine? Just give him enough time to fully integrate the template of the young Madara. Whether he wants to flip the table or not is completely a matter of his own thoughts. I see, I will leave as soon as possible. Bai Han nodded and said in a deep voice. A satisfied smile appeared on Garp's face. Good boy, really good enough. In this way, there is no need to worry about the safety of Ace. Otherwise, with Ace's three-legged cat kung fu, facing Bai Han, who has experienced countless wars and grown up in fighting, there is no possibility of surviving. But then Garp felt complacent again. That old boy Sengoku always says he's a fool, but he's definitely not what Sengoku said he was. No, he just made a small plan, so that Bai Han had to leave East Blue obediently and obediently. However, since he lied to this kid, he will naturally give corresponding compensation. Bullying a child who has just grown up, even with his face, would feel embarrassed. And Ace will be targeted by Bai Han sooner or later after he becomes a pirate. Even if it is for his grandson, it is necessary for him to let Bai owe him a favor. Boy, do you want to see the scenery on top of the world? Garp looked at Bai Han and grinned. Bai Han was stunned for a moment, then his eyes flashed hot, and he agreed without hesitation, okay. If you can see the world's peak combat power in advance. So the benefits to him are undoubtedly very huge. This not only allows him to have a clear understanding of the power system of Pirate World. At the same time, it can also make him realize more clearly what position he is in this world, so that he has a goal to strive for. PFF ha ha ha, don't worry, let me see how strong you, East Blue Asura are. Garp laughed loudly, and flew towards the distant sea on the moonwalk. He was not worried that Bai Han would not be able to keep up with him. Because he has already learned from intelligence that Bai Han has the ability to run on water. However, he was not very curious about this ability. There are always some strange abilities in this world, just walking on the water is not too ordinary. In comparison, he was more interested in Bai Han's red eyes that could directly stun Smoker. Are you going to feed me? Is it because of Ace? Or is it because of another grandson of yours? Or do you simply want me to owe you a favor? Taking a deep look at Garp's leaving back, Bai Han murmured in his heart with deep eyes. It is really a great favor to be able to get the opportunity to practice with such a strong person. Even if this is just a matter of effort for Garp. But if it weren't for this opportunity, it would be very difficult for him to even talk to Garp. After all, Garp's status is too high. Whether it is the identity of the marine hero or the identity of one of the ceilings of the pirate world's force, it is enough to form a huge gap between the two. No matter what, I will accept this favor. Bai Han took a deep breath, jumped directly onto the sea, and chased in the direction Garp left. The worried villagers, Nami and Nuo Chigao, were left behind. After a while, Garp brought Bai Han to the sea about 30 miles away from Kokoja village. At this distance, as long as it is not intentional, or if a strong player like Garp makes a full shot. Basically, it will not affect Zumaida Island where Kokoja village is located. Here the two can let go. Come on, Bai Han boy, let me show you what you can do. Garp glanced at Bai Han who was standing firmly on the water, and grinned. It was able to step on the surface of the water like the ground. It seems that this kid named Bai Han is hiding a lot of secrets. Excuse me. Bai Han didn't mean to be polite to Garp at all. When the voice fell, the attack was launched directly. In the face of such a powerful opponent, being polite to the other party is disrespectful to the other party. Bai Han's hands quickly formed mudras, and with the surge of chakra in his body, a huge amount of energy quickly poured into Bai Han's throat. Fire style extinguish fire. Bear. Suddenly, a pillar of fire spewed out from Bai Han's mouth. At a distance of about 5 meters, it quickly spread into a huge wall of fire covering more than 50 meters. The terrifying high-temperature flame directly evaporated a large amount of seawater, forming a thick mist of high-temperature water on the sea surface. Ha ha ha, what a powerful flame. Isn't this Madara fruit really? Facing the monstrous flames and high-temperature steam, Garp grinned. Then he raised his arm and punched forward in a bland manner. Boom! The moment Garp swung his fist, a huge fist wind was formed instantly. A gap in the shape of a huge fist print was directly blasted out of the huge wall of fire. At the same time, the surging high-temperature water vapor was also directly swept away by the fist wind. Even the sea that was originally relatively calm, is causing an uproar at this moment. Hiss! It's as powerful as a monster. Bai Han, who was no longer in the previous position and had already come to Garp's side, looked at the terrifying scene and exclaimed in his heart. Just by relying on physical strength, it is so easy to break the fire of being a B-level ninjutsu, but it is extinguished. What a terrifying power this is. This power alone has surpassed fourth Raikage by countless times. What's more, there are such things as armament hockey, observation hockey, and even conqueror's hockey in this world. Fortunately, Garp is not his enemy now. Otherwise, what a hopeless thing it would be. Fire-style Great Fireball Technique. Bai Han put his 2 fingers together in front of him. Then he spit out a fireball the size of a truck from his mouth, blasting towards Garp. After such a long time of practice, he can also achieve the Great Fireball Technique with one seal. And behind the huge Great Fireball, Bai Han has pulled out the 3rd generation Gush and Shizu, and entered the state of breathing of all things. At the same time, 3 Tomo Sharingan had already appeared in his eye sockets, glowing slightly red. At this moment, Bai Han is already at his strongest state. Because he knows the huge gap between himself and Garp, even he has no chance of winning in front of Garp. Therefore, Bai Han didn't hold anything back. Moreover, with the system, he doesn't need to keep his hands. Because, every battle will make him stronger than before. Ha ha ha, funny kid, are you really not a Madara fruit ability user? Garp laughed loudly, clenched his right fist, and rushed towards Great Fireball without fear. Boom! It was another punch without fancy. Garp didn't even use armament hockey, and easily blasted the huge Great Fireball to pieces. At the same time, Garp threw another punch. This time, the target of the smash became Bai Han, who was hiding behind the Great Fireball. Bai Han, who had already thought of a countermeasure, didn't feel nervous in the face of Garp's terrifying fist, and directly used the body replacement technique that he had prepared a long time ago. So much so that Garp's fist landed directly on the stand-in wood. However, the moment the stand-in wood was hit by the fist, it was turned into sawdust all over the sky by this punch. One can imagine how terrifying Garp's fist is. Seeing this scene, the body replacement technique was revealed, and Bai Han, who flashed to the side, felt his scalp go numb. Although I know that Garp didn't really do it. However, does this unreliable old guy really know what it means to learn from each other and to withdraw strength? He felt that if he was hit by this fist, although he might not die, but it will definitely end up with a serious injury. Thinking of this, Bai Han's complexion became a lot more serious, and 3 Tomo Sharingan also turned quietly. The next moment, phantoms appeared beside him one after another. With his movements, he moved towards Garp Chinese medicine. However, Bai Han, who knew that Garp had the observation hockey, didn't approach it immediately. Instead, use Phantom to test the waters and see what step Garp's observation hockey can do. When the strength of the ninja is insufficient, the fighting method is to collect information, and then formulate a targeted combat plan, which has achieved the purpose of defeating or even killing the enemy. Now Garp's strength is obviously much stronger than himself. If you rush forward rashly, you will really die without knowing how to die. Hey, can you still clone yourself? With great interest, Garp swung his fists all over the sky, and smashed towards the clone drawn by Bai Han. Although Garp doesn't have rubber fruit, he can't make his fists longer like Luffy. However, with Garp's strength, even the punching style brought by his fists also has a good lethality. So that Garp's move also has a large-scale AD effect. However, these illusions are all illusions created by Sharingan after all. Garp's boxing style didn't have the slightest effect on these phantom shadow clones. Only Bai Han's body was forced back several hundred meters by the wind of the fist, so that the rhythm of the attack was forcibly interrupted. But this is also impossible. After all, what Bai Guo is facing now is the top figure in the pirate world. If everything goes according to Bai Han's plan, it will be truly outrageous. Ha ha ha, interesting moves. Are all these avatars fake? Garp glanced at the body of Bai Han, who was blown away, laughed and asked. However, Bai Han obviously had no intention of answering. He directly manipulated the phantom shadow clone closest to Garp, and slashed towards Garp's body. Moreover, among these attacks, the 3 phantom shadow clones piercing Garp's neck, waist and heart were all phantom shadow clones with attack effects. Can I get it? There was a trace of seriousness on Bai Han's face. Facing an opponent like Garp who has mastered the observation haki, Bai Han is really not sure if this trick will work. After all, knowledge and knowledge are more like an advanced version of danger perception. Sure enough, when the blade of the 3 paths shadow clone was about to strike Garp, Garp frowned instantly. Then, it disappeared in the same place in an instant. When Garp's figure appeared again, he was already on the sea hundreds of meters away. It's kind of interesting. Obviously this avatar is fake, but it seems to be able to launch an attack. Garp looked at the phantom shadow clone that was still in his previous position, and said with great interest. He can be sure that his fist directly passed through the bodies of these clones before. However, just when those clones were about to attack him just now, his observation haki keenly sensed the dangerous aura from 3 of them. Although I don't know what's going on. However, it must be exactly the same as Bai Han's pair. There is a certain relationship in the glowing red eyes. It's a pity that the speed of this move was too slow, and it failed to pose any threat to him. Boy, do you have no other means? Garp looked 100 meters away and asked Bai Han, who was standing on the sea with his head down. This is the last resort. Bai Han suddenly raised his head and looked at Garp. 3 Tomo Sharingan was instantly imprinted in Garp's eyes. The spiritual power belonging to Bai Han began to invade Garp's consciousness frantically. However, Bai Han's face changed in an instant, and Garp's consciousness was as indestructible as a copper wall. At least, with the pupil power of 3 Tomo Sharingan, it is not enough to invade Garp's brain. However, although Bai Han was shocked by this result, he was not surprised. In a world where you can do crazy sit-ups, how can the mental strength of the strong be poor? I want to use illusion to kill indiscriminately in the world of pirates. I am afraid that at least it must be an illusion of the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan level or even the Rinnegan level. But, since the invasion can't be done, let's attack directly. Bai Han controlled the pupil power of 3 Tomo Sharingan, and hit Garp's spirit hard. Because of this special power, it appeared for the first time in the world of pirates. Even Garp was caught off guard, and his mind was stunned for a moment. However, it is only for a moment. When Bai Han used the body flicker technique to swing a knife in front of Garp, Garp had already come to his senses. And under the body's instinctive reaction, facing the threat that suddenly appeared in front of him, Garp subconsciously threw a punch. At this moment, Bai Han even felt that the entire sky darkened. In front of him, Garp's figure was enlarged infinitely, and it seemed that only this fist was left in the world before him. Bai Han was numb all over. Is this the ultimate blow that belongs to the ceiling of Pirate World? He feels that the current self is very much like the weirdo under Saitama's fist. The feeling that his whole body was releasing dangerous alarms, but he couldn't escape at all, made Bai Han feel deeply powerless. My strength is still too weak. Bai Han's eyes were full of unwillingness. But he still swung his knife and slashed in front of him. Although he knew his level of swordsmanship, it was useless in this situation. But Bai Han didn't want to give up any chance at all. At this moment, the system's cold notification sounded suddenly. Congratulations to the increase of the host fusion degree to 90%, the total amount of chakra to elite Jonin, the reward of Kunai x 3000, Shuriken x 3000, 1000 books x 2000. Steel wire x 500, fire style fire extinguisher, class B. Congratulations to the host fusion degree increased to 100%, the total amount of chakra increased to quasi-cage level reward Kunai x 5000 Shuriken x 5000, 3000 in this area. Steel wire x 1000, fire style Longyun Fengge technique B grade boy Madara all combat experience factory. Congratulations to host for successfully merging the young Madara, the youth Madara template is open, the current template integration progress is 8%, congratulations host chakra has been upgraded to the lower cage level, and Mangekyo riding is enabled. Wheel eyes, gain 10% combat experience from young Madara. The next moment, Baihan suddenly felt a huge pupil power pouring into his eyes. If someone looked into Baihan's eyes, it can be seen that the 3 Tomo Sharingan in Baihan's eyes is undergoing tremendous changes at this moment. The 3 black hook jades that originally hovered over the black spot in the center of the pupil. Under the interference of some inexplicable force, it is expanding rapidly, forming a pattern similar to a claw knife, and connecting with other deformed hook jade at the same time, forming a brand new pattern. At the same time, Baihan also felt 2 special abilities in his eyes. The full power of the left eye is increased, and the power of any power can be increased by paying only the power of the pupil. The more pupil power invested, the greater the increase, without any upper limit. Right eye Tsukuyomi, known as the powerful ability of the strongest illusion. Just one glance can pull people into the Tsukuyomi space. In the Tsukuyomi space, time, space, and everything is controlled by Baihan. The enemy here can only be like fish on the knife, allowing Baihan to slaughter him. In addition, Baihan also felt a huge power sleeping deep in these eyes. Baihan knew it was his Gundam sleeping in it. It's a pity that the time for him to activate the Mangekyo Sharingan is still too short, and he can't activate this power for the time being. It's too late to use ninjutsu. Looking at Garp's fist that was about to arrive in front of him, Baihan gritted his teeth, and the Mangekyo Sharingan in his eye socket spun rapidly. Accompanied by a burst of severe pain, a stream of scarlet blood flowed down Baihan's eye sockets. But Baihan clearly felt a powerful force attached to the 3rd generation Gushin Zusho in his hands. This power, Baihan resisted the severe pain in his left eye, and looked at the 2 knives in his hand. On the blades of the 2 knives in his hands, there seems to be a trace of unusual power, which is a bit like the 2nd stage of the Sword Hero, the precursor of the Flying Slash. The attack was approaching, and Baihan, who didn't have time to think about it, directly swung the double knives in his hand. Swish! In an instant, the sky and the earth seemed to burst out with 2 blue rays of light. 2 streaks of azure blue sword energy were cut directly from the blades of 3rd generation Gushin Shui. Finally, it hit Garp's huge fist swinging hard. Clang! In an instant, there was a sound of gold and iron intersecting between heaven and earth. The next moment, a huge shock came from the place where the flying slash collided with Garp's fist. Baihan directly took advantage of the impact and flew backwards, and slid nearly 1,000 meters on the sea surface before he managed to stabilize his figure. Then, he saw in horror, the sea where he was before. A huge hole with a diameter of tens of meters and a bottomless depth was directly blasted out by Garp. As for those 2 azure blue flying slashes, they naturally didn't cause the slightest damage to Garp, and didn't even leave a mark on Garp's fist. Is this the strength of the ceiling of Pirate World? Baihan murmured a little absent-mindedly. Even if I have activated Mangekyo Sharingan at this moment. Facing this monster-like existence, Baihan still felt powerless for a while. The gap between the 2 sides is really too big. No wonder the vice-admirals of Summit War were completely vulnerable to Whitebeard, and even weaker ones were instantly killed by Whitebeard with a single fist. It's really hard not to kneel in the face of a monster with such terrifying strength. Fortunately, he has a system, and sooner or later he can grow to this point in the future, and even surpass the strongest in this world. There is no need to be too self-pitying here. Therefore, Baihan quickly adjusted his mood, and looked at Garp with some guard. There is no way, the hole that Garp made in the sea with his fist just now has not recovered, and he has to guard against this uncontrollable human-shaped nuclear bomb. In fact, Bai-Han actually had the opportunity to use Tsukuyomi's ability when he countered before. Maybe Garp can be forcibly held in place and bought time to escape. However, Bai-Han really dare not. Before, it was just 3 Tomo Sharingan's pupil power impacting Garp's will, which led to such a violent counterattack from Garp. If this was replaced by Tsukuyomi, it would be great. I'm afraid it wasn't for him to see what it's like to see the all-out punch on the ceiling of Pirate World. At this moment, Garp also reacted. Looking at Bai-Han, who was knocked nearly 1,000 meters away with his own punch, Garp himself was terrified for a while. The main reason is that he was in a trance just now, and his body counterattacked subconsciously. Everything was so fast that he couldn't even react, and his fist had already slammed towards Bai-Han. Fortunately, Bai-Han had nothing to do, otherwise he would really be a sinner. Sorry, Bai-Yin, are you okay? Garp ran quickly on moonwalk, scratched his head apologetically and asked. Fine. Seeing that Garp had returned to normal, Bai-Han restrained himself from Mangekyo Sharingan, then shook his head and replied. It's a pity that I didn't try Tsukuyomi, the pupil technique of the right eye, whether it will work for a strong person of Garp's level. But this is also impossible. Bai-Han still can't guarantee that he can survive Garp's stress response. It's okay, Garp said with a smirk of embarrassment. After all, he was still ashamed that he almost killed Bai-Han. Garp scratched his head and thought for a while, then said, well, I will personally escort you to Alabasta, and on the way I will teach you the cultivation methods and usage methods of armament hockey and observation hockey. How much you learn is up to you. When Bai-Han heard Garp's words, a bright light flashed in his eyes, and he was even afraid that Garp would refuse his mouth and agree directly before his brain. Then I will trouble you. Garp is definitely one of the top practitioners of One Piece world, armament hockey and observation hockey. Even if it is not the strongest in the world, it can at least be among the top 3. If you can get Garp's teaching, his understanding of armament hockey and observation hockey is definitely not limited to what he knew from anime in his previous life. After all, knowing how to use it and being able to use it are 2 completely different things. He also knows the reaction equation of the nuclear bomb. But no, there is still no way to make a nuclear bomb. From here to Alabasta, it will take at least a month or so, even with Garp clearing the way and taking the shortest road. This month is enough for him to have a thorough understanding of armament hockey and observation hockey. Maybe even before he reaches Alabasta, he can still hope to master these 2 kinds of hockey. Not long after, Bai-Han and Garp returned to the port of Kokoja village. Seeing the return of Bai-Han in good condition, no matter the villagers of Kokoja village, Nami and Nuo Chigao, they all heaved a sigh of relief. After all, Bai-Han is facing Garp, the marine hero who has repeatedly driven Roger into a corner. A strong man of this level can figure out what a terrifying existence this is just by thinking about it with his toes. The arrival of Garp is also a good thing for Kokoja village. After Bai-Han assured that Garp is absolutely trustworthy, the villagers here immediately scrambled to tell about Colonel Marine's collusion with pirates to oppress civilians together. This naturally caused Garp to fly into a rage. Immediately called Sengoku directly, scolded Sengoku, and told about the incident. And this naturally aroused the anger of Sengoku. He absolutely does not allow such dirty maggots to exist under the banner of justice. Therefore, Sengoku immediately issued an order to capture Colonel Mouse. In the follow-up, he also assured the villagers of Kokoja village that he would seriously rectify this problem. As for what to do, Bai-Han doesn't know. Of course, he wasn't particularly concerned, these were Marine's own internal problems, and had nothing to do with outsiders like him. After explaining a few words to Nuo Chigao, Bai-Han took Nami aboard the 3-masted sailing ship, dragged by Mumu, and followed Garp's warship towards the Grand Line. The time of practice is always short. More than a month has passed in the blink of an eye. And in Bai-Han's line of sight, a port full of yellow sand also appeared. Okay, I'll take you here, and the next practice is up to you. Garp stood on his dog-headed warship, looked at Bai-Han on the 3-masted sailing ship with a sigh and said, I have to say that Bai-Han is the hardest working genius he has ever seen. During the more than a month of teaching by himself, Bai-Han is like a sponge, absorbing nutrients crazily. Except for meals and short sleeps, I practice at other times. And it is precisely because of this that in just 1 month, Bai-Han has successfully started armament hockey and observation hockey. At this speed, even he felt a burst of shock. Even, Bai-Han's mastery of observation hockey has reached a very proficient level. Even some naval headquarters rear admirals who have mastered observation hockey for many years. In terms of observation hockey's accomplishments, they cannot be compared with Bai-Han. You know, Bai-Han has only mastered observation hockey for less than half a month. Thank you, I will remember your kindness. Bai-Han solemnly saluted Garp. The other party has been teaching him very hard for more than a month. Let him change from a hockey novice to an existence who has a deep understanding of conqueror's hockey. Next, he only needs to practice step by step, and his hockey level will naturally increase until his potential is exhausted. This kind of kindness is not insignificant. PFF ha ha ha, as long as you can always stand on the side of justice, this old man will personally arrest you. Garp said with a laugh. Then, he grinned and waved his hand at Bai-Han, signaling Bai-Han to move on. Okay, you can go on your own. Crane Vice Admiral and Momoshige Vice Admiral are already waiting for you in the capital of Alabasta. The old man is going back. After Garp finished speaking, he directly signaled the adjutant to turn the bow of the ship. Soon, the dog-headed warship slowly turned its bow, brushing against Bai-Han's ship and sailing towards the distance. It's not easy to repay this favor. Bai-Han looked at Garp's leaving back, and heaved a long sigh in his heart. He didn't think about how he should repay this kindness. This kind of thing can only take one step at a time. Come on, let's move on to Alabasta too. Bai-Han looked back and said to Nami behind him. I see. Nami, who was wearing a black suit, nodded and disappeared in place in an instant. The next moment, the three-masted sailboat started to sail again, heading in the direction of Alabasta. Under the influence of Mumu, the speed of the three-masted sailing ship was very fast. Bai-Han glanced at Nami who was steering, and couldn't help but show some satisfaction in his eyes. After more than a month of training and the nourishment of a large amount of sea beast flesh and blood, Nami has become much more energetic and her face is a little more bloody compared to Xiaoduding's appearance a month ago. Especially the originally flat and slender figure has become much more slender and capable. The looming muscles on the exposed parts of the limbs make Nami look like a cheetah. Occasionally, the abdomen that is exposed because the sea breeze lifts up the hem of the clothes, even faintly has the existence of abdominal muscle lines, which looks full of vitality. Compared with the original plot, Nami is only in charge of appearance. Now Nami is more like a healthy female warrior. And now Nami does have good strength. In terms of the amount of chakra, Nami has benefited from the strong constitution and good spirit of the people of One Piece world. The amount of chakra at this moment is no less than that of a special Jonin. In terms of chakra attributes, Nami seems to have the 4 attributes of wind, fire, water, and thunder because of the special constitution. And when it comes to ninjutsu, because he had previously obtained the full combat experience of the young Madara. Therefore, from the fighting experience of the young Madara, he also learned a lot of ninjutsu copied by the young Madara through Sharingan. Therefore, Nami is also not lacking in ninjutsu. Each of the 4 series of chakra currently mastered has mastered at least 2 or more types of ninjutsu, and the means are very flexible. Even if the current Nami faces the evil dragon in the past, he may not necessarily lose. Of course, during this month, Nami's promotion has been so huge, his promotion is naturally not bad either. Thinking of this, Bai Peep called out the system panel. Host, Bai-Han, Fusion Template, Uchiha Madara Youth Madara Form. Current fusion progress. 8.3% Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan can be activated at the highest, and after the fusion progress reaches 100%, the Madara form will be opened, and the highest wood style, Rinnegan, and infinite chakra can be obtained. Boundary of Blood Inheritance. Indra Bloodline not yet activated, Sharingan Mangekyo, current pupil power remaining 99.95%. Chakra total. Inferior cage level. Ninja tools. Steel wire X872, Shuriken. Ninjutsu. Fire style Great Fireball Technique, Sea level, Water style Water Barrier, Sea level, Earth style, Lightning style, a total of 1157 types of ninjutsu. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.